This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sunset Safari. We'll be starting off with the school drive, and we've got Shelton Park Elementary, Brock Road Elementary, as well as Betty F. Williams joining us. And then, of course, that lovely Tigana, who's sitting up in a torchwood tree. We'll have a little look at it in a moment. My name is Tala, and on camera with me today is Craig, and we're very excited to have all the schools joining us for the next 45 minutes. We are sorry that we started a little bit later. We had some technical gremlins, but don't worry, we're here now. For the rest of you, though, please keep sending through your questions. Use the hashtag Safari Live. You can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. And, well, after 45 minutes or so, we will then get to all of your questions. How exciting. Is it still up there, Craig? It is. Actually, just a little bit further. You see where that nest is creeping out? Can you see all those twigs? If you go down... Oh, there we go. It's actually just hopped away. I can just see its tail. If you go a little bit further down, and there we go, now zoom in, you can actually just see where those sticks are. If you go down a little bit more, there we go, now send your center frame. There, it looks like there was a nest of some sort. I have seen some Egyptian geese up there before, and I can just see that lizard's tail, sort of in the top. There we go. That is not a stick. There you go, you just saw it moving around. That's the tail from that lizard. How cool is that? Now, it was a Tigana, and we're very lucky because we do see them every now and then, but that one's a little bit shy. I don't blame it, though, because if you're sitting out in the open like that, there are lots and lots of big birds out here with very sharp beaks and sharp talons, so sharp claws, that would want to eat it. So it's probably going to go and hide away. Maybe it will even find some bugs that it can feed on that are living in and around that nest. Now, all of you from Brock Road Elementary have asked what are the most common animals that we see on safari. So I have to tell you a little secret. Craig and I stopped here not to look at the lizard. We didn't even see that the lizard was there. We actually had seen some in Tala, which is a type of antelope. So there's lots and lots of antelope species out here. That's one of the common ones. Then we get to see lots of impala, which I'm sure one of us is going to show you today. It's not just me out here either. We have got... David is out driving around, and then also Ralph. So between the three of us, we're hoping to find you all sorts of animals. I would like to show you my favorite common animal in this area, and that's the elephant. And it's a lovely hot day to see some elephants, so we'll definitely start checking some of the watering holes. Now, all we're going to do is we're going to probably head towards one and see if we can't find a big grey giant splashing about. But let's hop on board to David's car and find out what his plans are.
Hello, all the kids, and how are you today? And welcome aboard to our Sunset Drive. And my name is David, and on the camera is one great gentleman called VM. We're very excited to have you on board this afternoon, all the way from South Africa. And remember, you may ask as many questions as you want, because that is our joy. We'll try and show you as many animals as possible. And as we bring in the animals to you, bring in the questions to us. Anything, any behavior of an animal that you may see interesting, please, through your teachers, also give us your comments. All right, there's a lot of animals to see, nothing at the moment, the great vegetation you see here in Africa. But every turn you make or every move you go, you never know what you see. Thank you for joining us, and let's see now what we have for this afternoon. Okay, VM, are you all set? And I'm not alone. There's another nice guide by the name of Ralph.
Now, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome aboard, especially to all the kids from the schools that are joining us. My name is Ralph Kirsten, and on the camera, we've got Sebastian. How's it, Sebastian? Now, please don't forget to send us your questions through your teachers. We are in the Djuma concession of the Greater Kruger National Park in South Africa, and we want to really welcome you all aboard because I'm heading out to go and look for a leopard. And I am really excited to go and see this leopard because it's been there in a tree, in a marula tree with an impala kill, and it's been fantastic the last few days. It's a male leopard, and I'm hoping that he's still there because he put that leopard up in the tree for a very good reason, and that was to keep his food safe from any other predators such as lions or hyenas, and he's been lying there just eating his food as he wants for the last couple of days. So I'm going to be heading up the road. I just wanted to stop here and just listen out and just see if there were any other animals calling for the moment. But it's been pretty quiet. It's nice and warm this afternoon. And so I think he's still going to be relaxed in the shade. But we'll go there and we'll see. Then we're going to head off to the dam and maybe go look for some hippos and some birds. Now, Madison, thanks for your question. It is about 25 degrees Celsius. That's about 84 degrees Fahrenheit. And normally this is a nice autumn's day. Not too hot, not too cold. It's perfect. It's really relaxed. But for the animals, nice and warm in the middle of the day like this. As the sun starts going down a little bit, it'll start cooling off and they'll start be more active a little bit later in the afternoon. So things are a little bit quiet for the time being. Sun's still nice and high up in the sky, but as I say, slowly going down, and we'll be going towards the waterhole then as well, because maybe some elephants will come down to drink, but I'm sure we're going to see those hippos. So, Madison and everybody else, let's head off and see if we can find this leopard up in the tree. I'm very excited for this afternoon's drive because we've also got a drone that we're going to stick up in the sky. Now, autumn, we get it's about between 2 and 500 millimeters of rain a year. So it's actually quite a low rainfall region that we have here. And as you can see, we've just finished with the real rainy season because we normally get summer rainfall here in South Africa, in the eastern part of South Africa. So normally going into winter, we don't generally get that much rain. But with climate change that we've been having, things are not as easily forecast as they used to be. And we do get a little bit of rain here and there nowadays, which is quite strange. But, well, it's also not such a bad thing because you can see how dry it is. So even if it does get a little bit wet, well, that's all right. Now, I'm going to try and find out if this leopard's still up in the tree. But while I'm doing that, let's head you over to my Rafiki/friend from Kenya, Dave.
Yes, Rafiki from the country I come from. If you look at the map of Africa, like that, South Africa is down here. I myself come from East Africa, further north, and we also have leopards there, and that's exactly what Raf is looking for. And if you're lucky, we might see a leopard with Raf. And in the meantime, what I'm looking for myself is the food that leopards would go for. We had just seen a small herd, a group of some big antelopes called wildebeest. We want to find out when we started the drive where they were, if they are still there. If you think of an animal you'd want to see, don't forget to tell your teachers. Isabella, you'd like to know how long we search for animals. Isabella, it could be 2 minutes search, or it could be 2 hours search. Because the animals here where they live, this is their natural home. And we are not able to talk to them directly to know where they are. So that's why we come out, we look, and then sometimes we have our eyes on the ground to see or to look what we call tracks. And that is what sometimes will help us to know where these animals are. Occasionally you might see the big animals, for example, like elephants or buffaloes from a distance, and you might like say, there they are, and you'll go right there. I like your question, Isabella. Well done. So try and get these wildebeest. We just saw them a few minutes ago, and they went in the bush, and we're going to get them out for you. Sally and Kirsten, I guess that is those are your names, and you're asking what are the most rare animals to see. Your teachers, I'm sure, will show you later on, or I'll show you on my book. We got animals that only come out at night. And there's one particular one, I'll give you an example, called aardvark. Aardvark is one of the animals that's very hard to spot. Then we've got another one that is called the pangolin. Those two, to me, are the most difficult to spot because they're very rare, and I'll try and show you in the book how they look like. Just give me 1 second, and you'll see how they look like and know why they're difficult to spot. So the pangolin, as I said earlier, and the aardvark. All right. Okay, aardvark come out there. Now, let's see. I told you I got the best cameraman, and that one there, it's called an aardvark. And that one is very difficult to see. They only come out at night. And for that reason, unless you're out doing a game drive at night, it will be very difficult to spot them. And during the day, they dig holes and they stay in burrows. So the second one, that's equally difficult to spot, and I cannot remember how many times have I seen. How many times have you seen an aardvark, VM?
None. I only seen that one.
Will you believe my cameraman, who I think is one of the best cameramen we got around in Africa, has not seen one aardvark? I have seen 3. Okay, let me show you the second one. What about pangolin, VM?
No.
Will you believe it? He says, no pangolin, I've seen one myself. And that is how a pangolin looks like. So to me, I would say the whole of Africa, those 2 animals are the most difficult one to spot. Tell me where you come from. What could be the most difficult animal to spot? I would be also happy to know. Tell your teachers, and your teachers will tell David which is 1 or 2 most. I gave you 2. Also give me 2, please. The 2 most difficult animals to spot. Where you come from. Let's go to a wildebeest and see whether we're going to see them for you. And I'll be waiting for the answers, and we'll take you to another girl who is trying to get something for you out there in the bush.
Well, we've been trying to find leopards, but we can't find them. So another creature that we have found are some birds. And there seems to be a little bird party going through and hopping from each branch to branch. But now they're all gone. But there's one all the way up on the top of that tree over there. It's our saving grace this afternoon. That's a yellow-billed hornbill. Now, as you can see, it's chosen the tallest tree to sit on to groom itself. So it's just preening its feathers, and it's very, very important for birds to constantly keep realigning the little hooks that are on the feathers. Now, you can't see them very well with your naked eye, but if you look at a feather underneath a microscope, you can see them. And I'm actually going to show you how easy it is for a bird to fix its feathers, because I collect them. I always collect little feathers. So let me choose. What feather are we going to have a look at today? Let's choose the Egyptian goose feather. This is a small Egyptian goose feather, so watch what I'm going to do. I'm now going to scrumple it up. So this is a bird that's been flying round and round. Maybe it's a bird that's flown all the way from Europe and has arrived in South Africa for the summer. They've all gone home, though. Or maybe it's the other way. Maybe it was a European roller, for example, that's flown all the way back to Europe. So it's tired, it's exhausted, its feathers are very messy, the wind is blowing through them. So they'll take their beaks and they'll just start running their beak through the feathers like this. And it takes them a little bit of time. They don't use this technique, though. I don't know how a bird really preens itself very well, because I'm not a bird. But it does that. And then look. It's kind of like brand new again, hey? I'm not very good, though. Almost. But the birds do a much better job. So if their feathers are very tatty, they're not going to be able to fly as well. So they need to make sure that they're nice and neat all the time. So lots of different animals are constantly cleaning themselves, making sure they are nice and looking good, looking fresh. Lions will lick themselves, so will leopards. I brush my hair sometimes. It's Now I'm just trying to very quickly start the car. As you can see, the Wendy's a little bit sick at the moment. And so Riley, there's lots and lots of different birds out here. It depends on the time of the year. But I would say now that most of the migratory birds, so the ones that don't stay here all year long, they just come for the South African summer and they've gone back home, there will be well over 250 birds here, probably even a little bit more than that. So we're very lucky. And what is the most rare bird that we get to see? Well, a very special one is a southern ground horn. There's an eagle. What's that? Is it a vulture? Is it an eagle? Maybe it's a vulture. There's two of them. They're just flying. I want to try and get the view. They've just stopped. There were two different birds, I think, there. They've just ducked behind the trees. There they go. I think one what looked like a tawny eagle, and then the other one looked like a big vulture. Now, that vulture, I saw it very quickly. It had a crop, so that's where... can you see them? Have they landed? Okay. They're still, Craig says they're still flying, but far away. And it looked like it was quite full. They've gone all the way down there. Too far away. I wonder if there's some food around here. Craig, I think we might actually just quickly go and check this tree. Would you like to come on a little adventure? I need to stop stopping the car, though, because I'm not going to be able to start in a minute. They were sitting in that tree. What is in there? I think I can see something. I think I can see a kill in that tree. Let me find a nice way in here. I wonder if there's a leopard around here. Now, I was on bushwalk this morning. I was walking around and I was trying to find a leopard in this area, but I wasn't lucky enough. I don't know if what I was seeing was actually a kill in the tree or maybe just a branch. Let's go around and have a look. But the fact that those birds are also sitting up on the top of the tree, maybe there's something down here. Might have to do a bit of investigating. How cool is this, being able to do this as a job? No, there's no kill. So the birds were sitting up there on that branch in this marula tree. And then I thought that we were going to get lucky, and somewhere down on the ground over here was going to be a carcass, maybe from some animal that's died or has been killed by something. But that doesn't seem to be the case. But the grass is also quite tall, so it's a bit difficult to see. But no leopards pop their heads up, or no lions pop their heads up to have a look at me. I wonder what they were eating. Now, Javon and Amir, you've asked what is the most dangerous animal that I've seen? Well, all the animals out here are actually very dangerous because, remember, we as people and humans are predators, so they can sometimes feel threatened by us, and even something like a warthog or an impala could quite easily harm you and I. So every animal out here is dangerous. You must be very, very, very careful of them. But the most dangerous animal I've encountered, well, we're lucky, though. We're fairly safe out here because the animals are used to the vehicle. So maybe the most dangerous situation I think I've had is either with a hippo on foot or a buffalo on foot. I've had two not so nice interactions. And buffalo and hippo on foot are not the nicest, especially if it's a buffalo all on his own. He's going to be very nervous and very scared, even though he's much bigger than me. They can be little babies sometimes. Can you believe that an animal that weighs over, well, almost just over a ton? What's that? No, not a ton, sorry, I meant to say pounds. I'm trying to do the conversion. About 1,600 pounds or so. They'd be scared of little old me. Anyways, I'm going to keep scratching around here because it looks like some of the birds are wanting to come back, so there must be something around here. I'm going to figure out what it is. Off you go, back to David.
Yes, any small sign you hear of birds or anything that could lead you to an animal, will always look. And look what I had promised you earlier, that we might be seeing the wildebeest. We saw them earlier, and then they entered in the bush, and VM has been able to spot them again. The types of antelopes, and very funny looking because they look like a combination of different animals. We call them wildebeest or vanbeest, but more wildebeest or wildebeest. and they're very famous in Africa because they do migration. And Taylor, you'd like to know how many antelopes we see on a daily basis. I would say, for example, this morning I was out on a game drive and I saw 5-6 different types of antelopes. I saw what you can see there on your screen, Taylor. These are the wildebeest. I saw another type called the waterbuck. I also saw impalas. I'm sure Taylor might have shown you, my other colleague called Taylor like you, some impalas. And I also saw some nyalas. So we could see anything 5 to 6 different types of antelopes in a day or on a game drive. And you see what I was saying earlier, the wildebeest looks like a combination of different animals. The horns look like of a buffalo. It got like funny stripes on the neck like a zebra. It has a tail like of a horse, The face looks like of a grasshopper or a locust. Look at that. It looks funny, eh? And I think maybe that's why the people who name animals that we call taxonomists, they might have named it a wild beast because they couldn't get a proper name for it. VM, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, VM agrees. I mean, the other animals have names that make sense, like the waterbuck has a good name, impalas have a good name, but this is like a wild beast. When someone calls you a wild beast, it's like you're so wild, just a beast. And we have always made jokes. It's because it looks like it's a combination of a buffalo, a horse, an antelope, a grasshopper, a zebra, etc., etc. Jeremiah, you'd like to know what hunts this animal here, the wildebeest. And Jeremiah, I would say this animal, the main animal that hunts the wildebeest, and the animals that hunt other animals are called predators. I would say the main one is the lion, and I'm sure you might have seen the movie The Lion King. So lions are the animals that will hunt these animals you see on your screen called the wildebeest. When young, as young babies of this wildebeest, we have seen sometimes leopards or a combination of 2 cheetahs bring or hunt them down. But for fully grown ones like this, is only a lion that could be able to hunt one. Malaysia, we got the country I told you called Kenya in East Africa, where I come from, and the wildebeest will do what we call migration. And migration is when animals move from one area to another area. Should a lion spook them, or a leopard, or a cat, or a cheetah, they all tend to run in one direction altogether, running for their lives, because nobody wants to be brought down or killed by the predator or the lion. And by so doing, that's how they make a stampede. And you see them running in the hundreds of thousands, or in thousands at a given time, running away from the would-be predator. That's how they make a stampede. Always eating, because they are more busy during the day than at night when they slow down. You'd see them making a bit of a move at night, but during the day is when they are more active. Quincy, you're asking if a wildebeest is related to a buffalo. In a few ways, yes, because they both got what we call hooves. Hooves is what they have on their feet, number one. And then number two, they are both herbivores. Herbivores are animals that eat green matter. So for those two reasons, I would say they are related because they both eat the same food and they got hooves. And also both males and females have horns of the wildebeest, and the males and females of the buffaloes also have horns. So they are related in that sense. And they slow down as it gets dark at night to make sure they're safe and they can look around, that the predators or animals that hunt other animals do not come for them. And look at the horns. It looks a little bit for like a buffalo, eh? Haley, that's a very good question, and you'd like to see how, or you'd like to know how tall is a wildebeest. Just have a look on the screen there and try and fast make a guess and tell me what you think. How tall do you think it is? Just ask your teacher to help you do your maths from the screen there. But just to let you know, the height of a wildebeest is about 140 centimeters, and the males are slightly taller than the females, not by a very big margin, slightly taller. Males are a little bigger, and if you want to convert into meters, the males are about 1.4 meters that's on the shoulder height, and the females are about 1.3 meters. Could be about a yard or something if you use yards, but in meters, 1.4 or 1.3. And Taylor got some feathered friends for you.
Well, it's one of the birds I was trying to show you a little while ago, but it got away from me. But this is a type of a vulture. This is called a hooded vulture. Now, it's sitting in the shade of the marula tree, and there have been lots of them. There were white-backed vultures, there were some tawny eagles. So I'm still thinking that maybe something died around here, and then they've eaten it already. This one doesn't look full, though. But the first vulture I saw had a very, very full crop. Normally you see just underneath their throat. That's where you'll see the crop bulging out when they've eaten lots. Now, these birds don't hunt for themselves. They are scavengers. So what that means is that they have to wait for animals to die to be able to feed on them. You can see that one's got quite a big beak and very, very sharp tip at the end. And this is not even the biggest vulture. The other vultures that we see, the lappet-faced vultures and the hooded vultures, have got very, very, very broad beaks, and they are able to tear into carcasses. So like buffalo, they even be able to try and tear into bits of elephants and hippos. And these birds here, this one, the hooded vulture, actually has to wait normally for the bigger vultures to come around to help open the carcass. Otherwise they struggle and they start eating the eyes and things like that, the soft bits first. Now, Quincy, these birds don't migrate at all. They hang around here. So they can travel exceptionally far, though. But they don't fly to any European countries, not the ones that we're looking at. So we'll call these residents. So they hang around. So we get to see them often. But birds having wings, if there's no food around, then they'll just fly to another area. So for a vulture, if it flies maybe 100 miles, that's not far at all. They can do that very, very easy. So they fly really high up to the sky, they catch the thermals, and then they just sort of glide. So they're not using too much energy, flapping their wings all the time. But they can travel very, very far. So a bird could fly from South Africa and fly to Mozambique easily in one day. Probably could fly there and back in one day. So Mozambique is just sort of northeast of us. So how cool is that? But they're not going to be flying to Europe. Now, Mila, you're asking about the wingspan of these vultures. It depends. This vulture here, the hooded vulture, is not as big, so I'm going to say its wingspan's probably about 1.8 meters or so, which is just almost, I'm just trying to think now. What is that? Almost 9 feet in length. Not quite though, but the hooded vulture, which we didn't get to see sadly because it flew away too quickly, the one that looked like it had eaten something, they've got a very, very big wingspan. Their wingspan is a little bit more than that, so I'm going to turn the game drive radio off very quickly. But so they're quite tall as well. The what was it about? The hooded vultures, not the hooded vultures, the whiteback vultures, sorry. Their wingspan is about 2.2 meters. So that is, what is that? That's just over 6 foot. Sorry, I'm talking nonsense. My conversions are not very good. So just over 6 foot. So if you stand in a doorway, the hooded vulture will be a little bit less than that, but the whiteback vulture will be almost the same length, probably even a little bit longer than that door. How crazy is that? But they're awesome birds. You don't always get to see them every single day. It just depends on what's around. Isabella, it's very difficult to tell the differences between male and female birds. Well, some have it easy, others don't. So normally the male birds are brightly colored, and they often have a very nice singing voice. They'll try and attract the females that way. But with the vultures, there's not much difference between the two. So it can be quite difficult. Some birds, the girls are bigger than the boys, but the girls normally have not as sort of brightly colored feathers. So with the hooded vulture, though, there's very, very little difference between the two. And sometimes they can sit next to each other and you still wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But not a very pretty bird, hey? They're definitely not using its looks to find a girl or a boy. And you can see how, look at the feathers around the face, and you see how they're really small and they disappear. That's quite cool. So that's to help with them feeding. Hayden, I don't know how big that beak is on that bird. I've never handled a vulture before. I've only ever seen them like we're looking at them now out in the wild. But I would imagine it's quite sharp. I'm just trying to look how long that beak would be. Maybe a few centimeters, maybe 5 centimeters in length, maybe a little bit more than that. But it's quite big. Quite long indeed. Although there's some birds out here that got very long beaks, like storks. Storks have got seriously long beaks that must be almost half the length of a ruler, maybe even some of them the length of your ruler. But now I don't know what to do, because now I can't see any more vultures coming down. So I think we might actually leave this area and see what else is around, because maybe there isn't a kill here, or if there was, maybe they've eaten it. Perhaps they're just resting for the day too. We'll never know. Anyways, off you go to David to see if he's had any more luck with animals.
Well, yes, and we have a beautiful bar there. Keep coming, VM. For a little bit. Is it good? Go back up. Right. Talking of vultures, huge birds of prey, we are now talking of a small bird here, and it is called a shrike. It's called a shrike, and it's specifically called the magpie shrike. Magpie shrike. Isn't that a beautiful bird? Kids, what do you think of the vultures you saw earlier with Taylor? Did you think they're good looking compared to the magpie shrike? And these ones will eat grasshoppers. Remember a few minutes ago we were talking of how wildebeest have faces that look like of a grasshopper or a locust. These ones will eat the locusts and will also eat insect like grasshopper. Did it jump? Did it go away? Yeah. Okay, VM's still trying to follow it. It's going. It's gone. No worries. We'll see whether we can get you another one. But that was a beautiful shrike. And we've seen lots of tracks down here of elephants, and that's what you're trying to follow. And you might even see some elephants for you. Who knows? It's not a guarantee, but you've seen tracks that might be leading us somewhere. That's what you're trying to follow on this road. So birds are interesting. You'll see them 1 minute, and then the next minute they're gone, because it will depend, are they looking for food, and where they are. If they think there's not enough to eat, they'll just go. Olivia, very good question. And how long was that tail? I would give it about 15 centimeters. And when Taylor was talking how you can tell the difference between males and females, with birds, and especially the vultures, is the same also for the shrikes. The males have a slightly longer tail than the females in the shrikes. So I would say it's about 15 centimeters long, Olivia. We've got a beautiful starling there. You see, hopefully it doesn't fly away. So Kit, you see how beautiful that one is also? We earlier on saw the magpie shrike. This one is called a starling. And I'm sure VM will still try and frame it again for us. But in the meantime, we got a hornbill. And earlier on, Tala had the southern yellow-billed hornbill, and this is the other one. This is the red-billed one. What we saw before with Tala was the yellow-billed, I guess. Now this is different, and this is the red-billed one. They more or less behave the same way in terms of feeding, breeding is very, very similar. And the difference between the two will be their beaks. We got our starling again there on the ground, and you notice how it got very shiny feathers. So when sunlight shines on its body, there is what you call some iridescent reflection, and it makes it look very, very beautiful. And we got many types of starlings in Africa. This is just one of them, and specifically it's called the Bachel's starling. They all got different names, but for now, let's just call it starling. Is it gone? Sally, you'd like to know what's the smallest animal in my location. Where we are now, I think the smallest one I have seen is a tree squirrel. Tree squirrel? That size? Sally, let me show you how a tree squirrel is. But when I go back to Kenya, where I come from, there's another small antelope, that size, that is called the dik-dik. And they're very small, and they go jumping like that. Those are the dik-diks. But here in South Africa, the smallest one I have seen is the tree squirrel. And I'm going to show you how a tree squirrel looks like. All right. Tree squirrel. Tree squirrel with tree squirrel, and is good there. Or do you want me put it in the dashboard? Okay, sorry, VM. Let's have a better view here, and then VM can give us good focus. Look at that. They're so small. I barely think they're more than 10 centimeters long, or about 5, 6, and you see them jumping on the trees. And sometimes they're very, very good for giving away some predators or animals that I was talking about earlier, animals that eat other animals, because there's a characteristic call they make, and when they make that call, they'll always lead us to think there's something, and they'll always give away their predators. So that is the smallest animal I think I've seen, and that is the tree squirrel. We'll try and follow up on our tracks and see whether they're leading us anywhere close to the elephants. But there was a lot of sign, a lot of trucks there going this direction, and maybe they could be going for a drink somewhere in a water hole. Let's keep going and see what we end up getting. And Ruff is still searching some nice animals for you.
Look at this, everybody. We've just managed to find ourselves something quite special in one of the little antelope with very short horns, very sharp, short horns. I'm just hoping that we can see him through the thickets here. Unfortunately, we can't make them stand still, but it looks like he might have disappeared. So, we did go and see if we could catch up with that leopard, which is exactly what we did do, but we were a little bit out of signal there, so we couldn't come and show you that leopard, but he's managed to eat himself very full this afternoon, and he's lying in the shade, panting away, digesting his food. So we decided we'll come back towards the dam or the Chitwa waterhole, and we're just coming around the back of one of the lodges here, and we're then going to go and have a look at the hippos. But let's have a stop here and just look at these nyala. Now, Charles, yes, animals will change their behavior according to where they live. So, like, look at all of these impala, nyala. They like to live in the thick bush. So, they don't have, the females don't have horns, so that's how they've changed their behavior as well, and that's their body behavior too. But they will be a lot more relaxed when they're in the thick bush, and if they go out in the grasslands where it's very open, you'll see the nyala and impala are quite nervous because they don't like to be exposed like they are on the grasslands. They like it more in where there's lots of bushes, lots of thick trees and all that, so that they can hide away from the predators because they don't have a very good protection. And look how quickly they disappear there. And there's another female Inyala walking through there. You see those ones with the little white stripes? Those are the female Inyala. And then just behind there's a male Impala. He's got the horns with the black stripes on his bum as well, and on the tail. So two different kinds of antelope here, but they both like living in the same kind of conditions, which is in a little bit more of the thick bush, not on the grasslands. And you see how they're eating grass now, but they can also eat leaves, so they're very adapted to different conditions, and that's why there's so many of them. But it looks very much like deer, hey, except they don't get antlers, and the males just have horns, which they don't shed every year. If one of the horns breaks off, they won't grow another one. Very nice. They look like Bambi. Now, I'm very sorry, everyone, that I couldn't show you that leopard, but you'll have to come back and watch another time, and I'm sure we'll be able to show you a nice leopard for that time. Okay, and I'm sorry that I've only been very quickly on the show, but once again, you'll have to join once more so that I can show you all my magic tricks. But I'll have to say goodbye for now, and I hope you all join us once again soon. Bye to all the kids from the school.
Welcome back, everybody. Sorry, I just was trying to miss a log there. There's a big one creeping out on the road. I am the off-roading queen today. Herbie, after the sunrise safari this morning, says I must come and drive in this block. So this is where we are. Driving now, trying to find Thandi and young Tlalamba, who are two leopards that we every now and then see when they take their invisibility cloaks off. Then we can see them. And remember, you can ask us questions, #Safari Live, or you can talk to us via the YouTube chat. Hopefully you've sent some questions in already, and we'll get to them. It might be a birding day today. Ooh, that's a scary buffalo thorn. Just missed that one. Almost got zapped on it. So I'm actually I'm zigzagging now around here, scanning under all the African wattles because there's plenty of them, hoping to spot a leopard. So we followed Thandi's tracks along the drainage line, which is the area that we're heading into, and then we just lost them. We don't actually know where they went. Hide from that tree. So they could just be laying in the long grass. I don't know what was up with all those vultures and the tawny eagles, and then I've been seeing bateleurs all around. It's all very suspicious, and they're all within a couple of 100 meters of one another. So that says something to me. Bye-bye tree for a little bit. I know you're going to pop back up on the other side. There we go. It's amazing. Magic trees. They go down and then go straight up again. But we might get to do some cool birding here because we're at my favorite birding spot. Let's have a look. See, right, found a nice little shady place so Craig and I don't get sunburnt. Oh, we saw a snake today, a spotted bush snake. David's first spotted bush snake, so that was quite cool. And in South Africa, because you also get them in Kenya. I can hear something calling. What are you? That's a sound it's sort of making. But I haven't got a clue as to what it is, and I also very clever today I left my binoculars behind. Lots of little birds bouncing around. Let me see if we can actually find one. Sometimes you might just have to sit a little bit if you have come crashing on through. You know, I wouldn't probably hang around if I heard that. I'd move away. Well, we're not having too much luck at my favorite birding spot. Perhaps a little bit later if we come back past here. And I still don't know what's whistling a tune in the distance. And that's it. I think we're going to leave this area. So off you go to Ralph now, who's found that big area of water at Chitwa.
Yes, we finally made it down to the Chitwa waterhole, and look who's poking out just on the dam wall itself. Wonderful, one of our largest lizards that we get, the water monitor lizard, and you can see his big claws there as well. Very adept at digging too, and all the hippos are around, but we're just enjoying watching him. They're normally quite shy and can disappear very quickly off into the water. They'll be eating all sorts. Oh, look at that tongue. At least we've got ourselves into a position now where we're close enough, but he's quite comfortable with us, quite near to him as well. Looks like he might be shedding a little bit of his skin there as the hippos greet us. And lovely how you can see his ear opening there too. Hello, big guy. Very pretty lizards, monitors. And I tell you, they've got quite a nasty whip on their tail. That's one of their best defenses. And I know quite a few dogs in Namibia that have fallen foul to monitor lizards, going up to try and attack them, and they turn and smack with their very long tail. And it's very powerful as well, so can inflict quite a lot of damage on any dogs that try to attack them. And Monica, this one, it's probably about a meter, maybe a meter and a half, so probably about 2 to 3 yards long, and that's quite a small one. They get to double that size, if not more. It's about 3 meters, the biggest one that I've seen. So almost the size of a, medium-sized crocodile. And this one's quite small still. And they feed on all sorts, anything around the water. When they're very young, they'll eat tadpoles and frogs and all sorts. But when they get a bit older, they eat crabs and fish and eggs from birds. They'll also eat those little goslings, potentially, like the Egyptian geese. So they'll have to be very careful of these monitor lizards. They also go in and eat the eggs out of birds' nests. They'll dig up tortoise nests. They'll dig up crocodile nests. So they're opportunists and they eat pretty much anything. But definitely carnivorous. See how it's breathing, hey? It definitely looks like it's shedding it. It has recently shed its skin. It looks quite mean. And they are solid muscle as well. I've actually been able to pick one up, and they are very strong, very strong. A beautiful coloration on them, very particular, hey? A very rough skin as well, quite scaled. Very good at maintaining their water levels. They're very water efficient, are the reptiles, all of them in general. Christine, monitor lizards got very good eyesight. So you see how he's blinking there. very good eyesight, hunting mostly by sight. You can see how very well that pupil is moving, and so they'll identify mostly through watching. They will obviously pick up some things with the tongue and smelling, but primary sense is eyesight. Yeah, he's twitching and moving, watching things in the water. I think he's watching those hippos a little bit further out. Not quite shy, as I say. If I had to start up the vehicle now, he runs straight into the water. Very good swimmers. They use their tail like a fin. Now, Seanak, that's they don't particularly digest the shells. They'll bite it up, and then you'll often see them when they defecate. You can see the shells in the scat, because it's carnivorous, and we would say it's the scat of a monitor lizard. And you'll see the little shells in there. So they crunch everything up, but they generally pass most of the shells and that through. So all the juicy stuff on the inside gets digested, and the shells get passed right through. So when you see droppings next to water holes, you've got to think, is it a monitor lizard? Is it a water mongoose? Is it a crocodile? There's all sorts of different scats that we can have next to the water, and all of them can have crabs and frogs, bones, and all of those kind of things. So you've got to think about the size of the animal, the size of the scat, what the diet would normally be, etc. So it can be quite tricky when you're trying to work out the scat next to water holes, especially when they have a mix of shells and bones and all sorts. So when you start looking at the shape of the scat and how and where it is dropped. Hippo is constantly making a racket. Julie, they are very good tree climbers. We also get the rock monitor lizard, and they obviously not as adept in water, and slightly smaller than the water monitor lizard, and slightly more sort of brown color to them, as opposed to this almost black and white. But both are excellent tree climbers. They can climb trees, they can climb rocks, they can climb termite mounds, and I don't know if it's this one, but on the opposite bank of the Chitwa waterhole here, I actually saw one pretty much this size, so I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't him that was poking his head out one of the termite holes, and probably going in there looking for all sorts of things. They probably eat some termites as well, very protein rich. He moves along. Oh, I think there's quite a lot of his skin peeling off. See if we can spot him. Oh, look at that. Now we can see him nicely. Look at those claws. Wow. Lady starfire, they'll shed their skin. It's normally once or twice a month, but generally about once a month they'll shed that skin. And it's obviously the younger they are, the more they shed, because as they get bigger, they do slow in growth slightly, and then they won't be shedding their skin as much. But the skin doesn't grow with them, so they do need to shed it as they grow. And as I say, the younger they are, the faster they grow, the more that they shed their skin. But I'm fascinated by those claws. Look at that. And in the track, you'll always see that tail dragging right down to the point. They really are like Komodo dragons, eh? Seriously, prehistoric beasts. That is wonderful. They've got a real switch over as well. If you watch him carefully, his left back foot will put down by his right front foot. So it's quite confusing. Ravinda, they can sort of survive without water. I've seen them in the Namib Desert, but they do prefer being around water points. And because they're so water efficient, are all the reptiles, they can survive without water, but they'd have to get quite a bit of moisture from the food that they eat. And I wonder if he's disappeared down a hole. No, there he is. So yes, even though it's called a monitor lizard because that is their preferred habitat near to water and food, they can survive in the desert. And yeah, everybody's saying that this is super impressive. Well, it's not often that you get to sit and watch a monitor lizard moving along like this because, as I say, they're very shy. So you normally see them, and as soon as you see them, they normally run for the water. So as soon as I saw this one, I stopped and switched off. And you saw how he played it cool. And eventually, once he saw that we went to threat, now he's sort of showing himself. And that's important. If you ever spot a monitor lizard, just stop, be quiet, and wait for him. Be patient, and he might come out and do exactly what this one's doing now, which you don't often get to see. And those claws are amazing. Matt, yes, a raptor could take out a monitor lizard, but he needs to be careful. As I say, that tail is quite a weapon, and if he's not on his game, the monitor lizard could actually kill the raptor as well. So something like a crowned eagle, I've seen them picking up these kind of monitor lizards. Martial eagle, but he is tough as nails. He's almost like the honey badger of the reptile world. Now, just watch as he walks. That foot swings right around. What is he doing? He's having a scratch, getting his skin off. Must be quite itchy. See that tongue coming out as well, testing the air, gathering all this sort of air particles. Ooh, what was that? Is that that was a little bird bombing him as well. I don't know if that was a lapwing. One of the little three-banded plovers, but they are literally bulletproof, these guys. Gary, absolutely, he would eat those goslings given half a chance. So mommy and daddy Egyptian geese have to be very careful because if this guy gets any chance to eat a gosling, he will not think twice. And he's a very bad customer. He's trouble. He's like a gangster. The real gangster on the edge of the waterhole. Look at the birds, you see, they know it. He'll be after their eggs, little nests and so on. Any ground nesting birds fall prey to the monitor lizard. Now they're all bombing him, but doesn't seem to faze him one little bit. Solid muscle, as I say. They are really hard, tough customers. You see how he switches over. It's like a real swagger to his walk. He's like, you want to mess with me? I'll take any of you on. Bring it on. And a little three-banded plover there doesn't stand a chance, but he'll still have a go at him, I'm sure. Let's see what he does. Yeah. Leave him. There we go, in the sunlight now. Yes, these little birds are really trying to get rid of him. He's like, where's those nests? I'm just going to lie in the sun and warm up, get some more energy. Cody, precisely. If you get bitten by a monitor lizard, you're not going to particularly worry about the bite itself. It's not going to be, it's not going to bite through your arm or anything like that. But if it breaks the skin, it's very much like a python, where there's a lot of bacteria in their saliva, and it can get infected, and you really struggle to get it clean and, get that infection out. So that's probably the biggest danger from the bite perspective. And then obviously you've got to be careful of that tail. And I wonder, he's probably going to be looking through that dung as well for any kind of beetles, etc. See how he keeps tasting the air with his tongue, and the air particles are then taken back to the Jacobson's organ, which they also have there, and that interprets the sort of taste and smell in the air, and that sends the message to the brain telling him what's around. So you see, when he sort of gets closer to things that he's got some interest in, and that tongue really works hard and goes in and out. He is awesome. You see, you never know what you're going to find when you come out on game drive, eh? Especially a mean-looking water monitor lizard like this. And the little bird's still, I'm going to try to get rid of him. And you go and scratch around in the dung there, or you just carry on walking. Paula and they don't really get sunburnt. Eventually, if they, excuse me, if they're lying out in the sun, they probably get quite hot eventually, and then they just go down in the water to cool off. Remember that they are ectothermic, so they, excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. They get their energy from external sources, so they can lie on a hot rock, or they can just lie out in the sun, and once they have that nice warmth, that gives them the energy that they need, and then off they go. So they can overheat though, so as I say, they would seek shade or water or a cooler surface once they get to the optimum temperature. They like to keep it at that. And so as we move into the winter months now, you start seeing the reptiles being a lot more lethargic and slower moving. I used to often, in the desert in Namibia, in the early mornings, I used to hunt for little lizards and chameleons and geckos, etc. And as soon as I saw them on the dunes, I could catch up to them very easily and catch them very quickly with my hands. But as soon as it went towards midday and the sun got up and it had been nice and warm on the dunes, geez, you should see the speed at which these little lizards and geckos could move. I couldn't keep up with them. So early morning, nice and cool, they hadn't got the energy yet, easy peasy, you can catch them very easily. Midday, after they've warmed up, they've got that energy, it's a totally different ball game. So it goes without saying, with all the reptiles, very much similar. And even sometimes you hold he's scratching again, getting that skin off. Even if you hold a lizard in your hand, they can actually get energy just from being in your hand. So I often used to also catch a lethargic lizard, like a shovel-nosed lizard, and just have him in my hand for a little while, up to 2-3 minutes, and then all of a sudden he was full of beans after just absorbing the warmth from my hand. It's fascinating how they just take the energy just from those sources like that, and totally energy efficient as well. So that's one of the reasons why reptiles can live for so long too, because they don't waste water, seriously water efficient and very energy efficient as well. Us humans, we're making heat all the time, and that, relatively speaking, we actually live quite short lives compared to reptiles. And because of that, we're constantly burning and not, energy efficient. There, that goose, not too worried. It's of a decent age. It doesn't have little goslings. Breed, they are solitary, so you won't find them in groups. And in fact, most reptiles are. They also don't have any parental care, so they lay their eggs and off they go, and the youngsters need to then fend for themselves. One of the only reptiles that actually does have parental care is a crocodile, the Nile crocodile. I'm not sure about all the rest of the crocodiles and the alligators, but the Nile crocodile is a very good mother. She'll go and lay those eggs in a nest, and when she hears those of the little babies starting to hatch, she'll go and help them out of the nest, and then she'll collect them all up in her mouth, and she'll go and let them go in a little nursery type pond where there's nice reeds and there's all sorts of tadpoles and little fish that they can feed on, and she'll protect that area for the little ones. But monitor lizards and that, not the same. They need to fend for themselves. So this lizard that we're looking at right now has pretty much been independent from the moment it has been alive. It looks like it might be having a little drink. And we're not only... Oh, look at all those fish. Small little fingerlings, but they're all moving off there. You get a bit of a fright from the monitor lizard. Yeah, so it's not only watching mammals coming down to drink, we're watching now some reptiles. There we are. You gonna have a drink? Another one? Quite thirsty. It's thirsty work, walking around looking for food that you can eat. Scratching the skin off your ear. You can see it's nice when they do shed their skin and you've got that very clean colours that start coming through as well, and they look very fresh and pretty after they've shed. So this is absolutely fantastic. I don't think I'm going to go anywhere just yet. I'm going to sit here and see what this monitor lizard gets up to. But while we wait and see what happens, I wonder what's happening with Dave.
What a cool sighting of a monitor lizard, eh? And for me, every time I think of monitor lizards, I've always seen them stealing eggs or trying to dig eggs of crocodiles by the riverbanks. That's the only memory that I have of monitor lizards. Well, hello everyone, and very nice to have you on board. Thank you for joining us. I don't know where this sky is trying to take me. We have been seeing a lot of trucks this afternoon. Very nice signs for leopards. None we have seen. This morning, Tigana gave us a very good sighting, and yesterday afternoon for those who are watching. And we're trying to see whether we can also see Tandy. We are all out to see if these leopards will come and say hello to us today. This morning it was not very bad, and Tigana had a kill on top of a tree. He didn't go up at any one given time, but we hoped he would have. And maybe if Ruff is going that direction, he might go up, and we might be like to see him eating his dinner. Eh? Very, very nice temperatures now. Feeling very excited. And we're thinking it's time to see, or whether Via, you think we can look for the Avoca lions, you think? Yeah, we're also thinking we can chance on the Avoca males, which have been trying to dislodge the Birmingham boys around here. And that's one takeover I'm really waiting for, to see if it would happen when I'm still here. As we continue to do that, Tala got some update for us.
I've got nothing. I'm just going to dazzle you all with my sparkling personality. I do, however, when I'm yielding a very small guarri branch, because the flies were so bad at one point. Craig and I suspected that there must have been a buffalo nearby, because there were also some wallows. Well, then we also saw some buffalo tracks. But we've been going round and round and round trying to figure out where Tandy is, and we've had absolutely no luck. So I think we're going to leave Tandy now, and we're just going to drive around and hopefully find some things. Maybe some animals will pop by. I think it might be a good idea for us to go and check Twin Dams. I haven't been past there, so we're on Drakensberg South at the moment. We'll probably go down Mamba and then head towards the beautiful big dam. Well, it's not massive, but it's rather large. Maybe some elephants will come through. I don't know where all the elephants are. I'm a bit sad that I haven't seen any since I've been back. I actually didn't have too many elephant sightings in 8 weeks. Let's hope that that's going to change this time round. I don't know, what would everybody like to see today? Is there any specific birds that I should go and look for? You can hashtag Safari Live, let me know. Oh, yes, there we go. Monique, you don't want to see a bird, you want to see Hosanna. That's actually what I said to Craig today. Monique, you won't believe it, as we started Game Drive, I said, Craig, I'd like to see Hosanna. Maybe Craig is going to spot Hosanna again, because, Craig, remember when you did that the last time? He said, yeah. When I was too busy yakking away telling you about, I don't know, like what actually. Anyways, what was I reading in my book? I was doing some reading while I was on leave. Oh, remember we were talking about rhino statistics today? I found the latest document that has been submitted. I think it was by Save the Rhino Foundation or something along those lines. Anyways, and this morning I was talking about how the rhino populations, the poaching statistics are getting slightly better, and I suppose any improvement is an improvement, right? So in 2016, they had poached, how many was it? 1,004 rhinos. Last year, they only poached 1,028 rhinos. So not a huge difference, but definitely an improvement. And then the worst year, which was, I think, 2013, the rhino poaching started getting bad. And then 2014, it skyrocketed. It was crazy. I remember down in the Eastern Cape of South Africa, all the private game reserves were losing rhinos. There must have been a syndicate or something in the area, and they were just going from reserve to reserve and taking down these creatures. How many was that? Because now I can't remember numbers. 1,215 rhinos. That's a lot of rhinos in South Africa. So it was quite hectic, yeah. So I'm glad that it's improving slightly. Like I said, it's not necessarily a good thing. So I have heard some rumors, I shall not confirm or deny, that Kruger is definitely trying to hide the rhinos in all sorts of places around South Africa, and also not South Africa, moving into different countries. They are. So that's quite cool that they're doing that to try and preserve the population of white rhinos, which is the species of rhino that we all know is doing very well. So yeah. So, well, let's be positive, everybody. Let's think happy thoughts. We're going to just keep bumbling along this little track here and hope to find something with a heartbeat. And, well, Ralph has done exactly that. He's got a couple of creatures with heartbeats.
Oh, look at that. All the red-billed oxpeckers just taking a little rest on top of the hippo's head, drinking a bit of water. That's nice to see that. And a beautiful light. A nice reflection. A little bit of coming off, so that's why we're watching the hippos now. Sooner or later that hippo's going to go under. That's exactly what I thought. The oxpeckers need to fly off and find themselves another island to go and sit on. There's lots of hippos around. It's a very tranquil, peaceful setting at the moment. Every now and then they come up and just do their blowing out their air, suck some more in, and down they go. Everybody's just chilling around. There's not much going on. Everybody just enjoying a nice cool afternoon. Not much energy happening. Just bobbing up and down, flipping the ears every now and then. There we are. Getting the water out the ears. Look very peaceful, eh? Lovely afternoon. And that monitor lizard now is sauntered off. Also very relaxed. Everybody just seems in the same kind of mood. Nice couple of little pods here. Everybody looks like they're all catching a snooze, and in a little while they'll be getting a little bit more active as they all go out and have their feed, go grazing. Look at those very fat bellies. Well, Bree, I'm not quite sure exactly, but I'm going to try and do a head count. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's quite difficult because they're always going underwater. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's one far on the other side, 14. I would say there's at least 20. At least. I'm sure there's more. But I would say definitely at least 20. But as I say, quite tough to count when they're all going under the water. And then you think you're recounting it when it comes back up. So I think soon we might put our eye in the sky up and just have a bird's eye view. But while we do that, let's head you on to David, who's got one of my favorite antelope.
Right, it's so interesting when you see those cameramen take the drone up in the air and you get a bird's eye view of the Sabi Sand, and it's just wonderful what you see on your screen there. And we got a very interesting antelope here that I've not been able to see in the Maasai Mara for quite a long time. It doesn't even exist there, but I've come to find it or see it here in South Africa, and this is the greater kudu. And greater kudus are browsers, and you can see they all go for leaves and sometimes twigs, fruit as they feed. And if you happen to see a male, they got this huge rack of horns, making them very, very good looking. The three spots, I've always wondered what they could be for. You see them there and wonder if the spots could be used to identify the kudus, as locally here the guides have used, spots on the chin of leopards to identify or tell them apart. VM, do you think those spots would help to identify the kudus, or you doubt?
No idea.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because I haven't seen other animals like having spots, on the cheeks, as that oxpecker. I don't know whether that oxpecker might help to identify, but I think the pattern of the stripes there could be different, and that's a red-billed oxpecker. It'll get all the parasites or the ticks, mites off the body of the kudu. Very unusual to see it alone, because in general the females would be in groups. Sinak, good question. What's the difference between a greater and a lesser kudu? Number one, as the names imply, is size. The greater kudu is much bigger than the lesser kudu. And talking of big, we're talking of weights. For example, the males of the kudus here could be anything 250 kilos or 500 plus pounds, and the females being, of course, a little smaller. The lesser kudu would be, say, half that size, and maybe 125, 130 kilograms. 260 pounds of that. That's one. And you don't get them in general in the same habitats like where we are now. Here we only see the greater kudu. In Kenya there's one area called Samburu, or the north, an area called Laikipia specifically, and there you would be able to see the lesser kudu. So size is what determines the big difference between the two. And both of them are browsers. You'll always see them getting leaves and twigs, small branches and fruit. You rarely see them grazing on the ground. And again, very unusual to see her alone. I would imagine the rest are not very far from where she is. The lesser kudu also slightly darker than the greater kudu, especially the females. They're more grayish in color. Patrick Alpha, I like your folk story there. I mean, and it makes a lot of sense when you think of it, and having the thing to hold in your cheeks. I think that's an interesting one. I think I should learn from you and maybe be using it in future. I'll find out or try to remember if there's one from the village I come from, because we don't have any kudus close to my village. And yes, I really love that fox so there. She's moving away. I do not know the direction she's going. Let's see if she's going to come across the road for us. And she's slowly coming. Not sure she wants to come close to where we are. And very unusual to see them alone, as I said earlier. Let's just wait and see. She's walking very slowly now. And she might give us another nice profile on the road there. She's trying to look who we are. There she goes. Beautiful antelope. Look at the size of the ears and how they keep changing direction, forward, backwards. Great, I agree with you, Kirsty. And she'll pick any slightest sound as she goes. So sometimes the ears will act like, dishes of a radar to pick any sound. If they don't see very well, picking any slight sound, any minute sound here, just like the wild dogs, helps them a lot. And the ears, as you know, in the wild dogs are very good senses they depend on for survival in the thickets. You rarely see them out in the open, so they need their ears very much to listen to anything that could be of concern to them. Lots of muscles on those ears, inside the ears, to be able to keep flicking them left, right, up, down. So you'll see them eat for a couple of seconds and then just pause, stop, turn them around, twist, flick them, just to make sure there's nobody going for them, and then go back to food. We are fine. You're okay also. Keep eating. And now we'll give you a bird's view of where we are.
There we go, everyone. We've got the eye in the sky up. The drone is up and running, and I'm sure you're going to get a lovely view of the Chitwa waterhole. I'm going to just go over where the hippos are over there, and it's lovely to see it from a different perspective like this. I haven't had too much experience with this drone, so it's also fascinating for me to see the little island there on the left of your screen, and then the very big island where Vladimir the crocodile likes hanging out. Haven't seen him today, but it's a wonderful day for the drone to be out. Look, there's not a cloud in the sky, and oh, there comes a hippo, just popped up as we came over. I wonder if we could see anything on that island there. Nothing for now, looks quite clean. It is absolutely wonderful. I like this. Look at that. You can see lots of tracks of hippos that have been walking through the sand. And unfortunately, the water's not very clear. That doesn't mean it's any... Bree, I agree. We do need to do the Sabi Sand weather report from up in the sky. Well, look at that. There is not a cloud in the sky. And it's 28 degrees Celsius, 82 degrees Fahrenheit. We're not expecting any rain, but well, there is Chitwa Lodge, and I'm sure the guests are thoroughly enjoying themselves. Probably some out on drive at the moment. And the rest, well, I'm sure they've also been to go and see Tigana on that impala kill. Unfortunately, we couldn't get signal. It's just in one little bad spot where he is. And oh, there's the wall going down into the drainage line that looks down below the dam wall. Often there's a few leopards in down there when it's very hot. They're not particularly hanging around there at the moment because it's actually cooling off quite nicely now. But there we go, a very big expanse of water, and you can see how all the hippos are pretty much clumped together there. They do like to stick together, and a little bit of that slick that you can see there is probably their defecation. Miss Parker, a lot of Chitwa is actually relatively shallow. It's probably only about 2 meters deep in some places. A lot of the areas where the hippos are, they're actually pretty much just lying on their bellies on the bottom. And it looks like one's there, he's lifted his head up a little bit, did a bit of a yawn. But yeah, you can see that slick there is a lot, probably their defecation. They are urinating and defecating where they where they sleep, and it probably gets eaten a lot by the fish, especially the little tilapia and catfish. We often, when we go to the Zambezi and things in Botswana and Zimbabwe, we often fish near to hippos because the fish actually congregate there. But you do need to be quite careful, obviously, and you don't want to be casting your sinker onto a hippo's head. You won't like that. Now, Tucker, thank you for your question. Hippos will let birds get on their head because they're not scared of the little birds. And the birds sometimes help them as well because they take the little ticks and things off of them. But people, they know that we are dangerous and we're not so nice to hippos, so the hippos are quite nasty to us back. But generally they are very nice to us as well. As long as we just stay a little bit away from them, they won't hurt us. It's like us sitting here now, we're just watching them. They're quite happy that we're here and they're not giving us any problems at all. But that's a beautiful view from directly above them. And there you can almost see how flat it is around here as well. There's not really much in the terms of landscape to be able to, or prominent features to be able to navigate here through this bush. Very, very flat. There's no little hills or koppies as we call them. And that's why when you're in the bush here, you really need to work out where you are quite well, because there's nothing that you can really triangulate yourself on if you were using a map. And a prominent feature, obviously, is this dam and the lodge, but difficult to see it from way off. And look at that. You can almost see the meniscus of the earth. It's, you can almost see how it's starting to curl on the edges. Relatively dry at the moment as well. Even though we have had some rain, it looks a lot drier from the air than it does from the ground, though. There's a lot more greenery around when we drive around than when you're looking at it from up there. Actually also looks a lot more sparse and not as densely vegetated as it does when we're driving through. But there's animals there that you're not even spotting as we pan around like that. There's a lot of animals in there, I can tell you that, but you're just not seeing it because they're so well camouflaged. I'm sure we've already panned across at least the leopard as well. I really wouldn't be surprised. And there we get another view of the lodge. Now, what a wonderful location this is. And there'll probably be an aardvark and a porcupine in there that we haven't seen as well. I'm sure they've just woken up, started to come out of their burrows. And there the crocodile is, I'm not quite sure. Now, Sidolf, it is a man-made dam in the sense that they've just sort of put up a block to the drainage line that was naturally there. So they're just making sure that there's permanently water here. And as we come there at the back, there you can see that that has been made by man there. And the reason behind this is it wasn't just so that they could put a lodge there. It was because, and generally in management of these properties, it's because we've got a fence around the greater part of these wilderness areas. It's mainly to keep people out, more so than keeping animals in, but it's keeping animals in as well. But now they can't go looking for other water sources when it gets very dry. So they are then obviously having to supply the animals with a water source. Otherwise they die when we have the very dry times. Now, there is an animal that really loves to be around water and especially wallowing it. And I think David would love to show you just that.
Right. Buffaloes will always be near water as we continue enjoying the other ones near Cheetah Hole. And you can see he got so many oxpeckers. I'm not sure they're having a hike or they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, getting all the bugs, getting all the ticks and mite off the body of that buffalo. And you see what happens once they finish doing that, they'll come and clean their beaks. Very clever oxpeckers. because they need to keep eating. And they also don't, as they get the ticks out also, they get a bit of mud. If you've seen the buffalo very well, they get a bit of mud on their beaks, so they need to like preen and clean themselves before they go for the next round of eating and cleaning that buffalo there. He's a huge male, and I've thought this is one of the largest, or I would guess a very strong male and very prime. If you look at it in every form and shape you think of it, it's one animal you do not want to bump into, especially if you're doing a bushwalk. Tala Makuni, you're asking if the Mara buffaloes are bigger than this, and I would say slightly bigger. And it's both males and females. And it's just the same discussion we had with the impalas, that the males could have, and more so on the rack of horns. I would say, yeah, Taylor, I think the buffaloes in the Mara are a little bigger than the buffaloes I have seen here. While I haven't seen as many here, I would be happy to see a big herd of anything 5, 20, 50, 100. But I would say, especially the males around the camp, as you go down towards the marsh area, those males that have been resident there for quite some time, to me, they look huge. I mean, they're much bigger in size if you compare them to this one here. Taylor, I don't know whether you'll agree with me, or what do you think? You've seen those ones, Tamara. You've been there many times. What do you think, Taylor? We'll try and sneak on him slowly and get proper dimensions of this big buffalo here. But to me, I still think by any standard, he's a big boy, yeah? VM, the buffaloes in Kenya and the buffaloes here, what do you think? In one word, yes or no? Are they big or small? VM is not sure. VM feels or says he thinks they're the same in size. Let's look at this carefully here, and let's start VM by the height quarters. See if you can frame the height quarters, estimate the height of that and how rounded you think he is, and then try to remember the ones in the Mara and see. I mean, I'm still convinced that the ones in the Mara or in Kenya are a little bit bigger inside than the ones here. The height might be the same. 1.5 meters, I would guess, shoulder height. But the total morphology, the ones in the Mara, look slightly bigger than these ones. VM, you need to get me a big herd of 520, and that time I can have a concrete answer to Taylor Makuni, which ones are bigger than the other. Very dangerous animal to find into. They get very grumpy, especially when they're alone like this. No wonder all the ox pickers are gone, but I'm sure they've done a good job to clean it. I'm not sure now he's eating or he's just trying to sharpen his horns or something like that. We saw one yesterday which was sharpening its horn, who also looked very grumpy. I'm not sure it's the same one. See, all the mud is covered by all the mud there to try to make sure it's not hurt by the sun mainly, or try and kill all the bugs that will go on the bodies. Still so many flies there on top of it, but ticks will be easily suffocated by this thick amount of mud on their bodies, and they'll go and wallow in water holes, and in the process that's how they end up with so much mud on their bodies. I mean, this guy, either way, by any standard, he's a big male, eh? And I'm sure anytime I'll do a walk, I'll be very, very careful that I don't see him. With a choice, I would want to see him maybe 0.5 kilometer away. I don't know where those flies are coming from and why they should be following him. Well, he's making his way out, and I want us to go and see whether we can find out, Tigana, that we saw in the morning, and we might be lucky to see him. Let's head out. So, Trivia. And Taylor, I'll be happy to hear what you think of the different sizes of the buffaloes here and the buffaloes in the Maasai Mara, Kenya.
Well, David, I think the buffalo that we have in South Africa, African pygmy buffalo in comparison to the ones in the Mara, I thought that they were substantially larger. I think if I were faced with a buffalo from the Mara, like when I was chased by the one outside the tent, I don't think I would have got away. But yeah, I definitely do think they're much bigger. With all that grass around, why wouldn't they be? You know, it's so luscious and green for most of the year. Now, I've been called many things in my life. Everybody has nicknames, or they get called all sorts of other things anyways. And one of them today is Mac Slacker, which is another one. So that is the nickname that I get when I suppose we were trying to get out of work. Says Kirsten, who's directing today. What's Craig? Come up with... We need Bat Slacker, says Kirsten for Craig. Listen, if you want someone who's quick off the tongue and can just give you chirps and puns and things like that, that Kirsten's the one to go to. She does them very, very well. So Slackman... Slackman is much better than Bat Slack, although they've both got a pretty good tune. That's very funny. So, anyways, we're not slacking. It's still going. The chirps are flying. Bat Slacker's Mobile. There we go. So that's what I'm in at the moment. Oh my goodness. Well, would you look who we found now? We found David and young VM. Oh, look, actually, they probably look quite nice. Hey, Craig, don't you think? With all the dust. Look how cool that is. David, you look, and VM, you look stunning in this light. Give us a little pose. I can't find any leopards. Now, listen, I suppose you know what I'm doing is wrong now, is because I'm blocking the way of David to get to a leopard, and you really don't want to have to sit and listen to me ramble on all afternoon. So I'm going to pull off the road for David so that he can swiftly go past and show you a leopard, which I'm sure you're all excited to see. Hey, David, day 2, drive number 3 for a leopard. How exciting. I think so. Yes, I suppose I was lucky yesterday. Today, not so much, though. We've seen lots of birds. They keep flying away from us. Go nature. Yes, your sighting with the wild dog. Well, David was telling me about how excited he was to spend 2 hours with wild dogs. I was kind of envious, although I was also lucky last cycle, got to see a few. But they need to come back. They need to show David a proper wild dog chase, and then we'll see his bundu bashing skills, his off-roading skills, and how quickly... I'm excited. Everybody's seen us race around. It'll be exciting to see what you can do with these cars. Cool, good luck. Bye, VM. Okay. Okay, well, there was an attempt. Come on, Wendy, you can do it. Wendy's got to go to the hospital base soon. I think I've already told you that, though. Been interesting. Anyways, off they go to Tigana. I wonder if this is where that buffalo bull was, though, perhaps at Treehouse Dam. We're almost there. Oh, it is. We're going to see the buffalo. We'll just have a quick look. Let's see if it's doing exactly what it was doing with David. I believe it was covered in oxpeckers. Okay, now I can hear oxpeckers already. Some of them sound like they're up high in the trees, and I don't think buffalo can climb trees unless Hosan is around. Then sometimes they can, the little ones. Right. I can't see a buffalo. Was it in the water, Kirsten? Oh, there it is. I do see it. I talk utter nonsense. We're going to look at it from a distance in the beautiful gold light. Kirsten, you're so funny. I wish you could all hear what the directors say to us. Craig, you almost got it. There you go, top right-hand corner. Yeah. The FC is roaring with laughter and shouting, "Slack man, slacks again." But isn't that pretty? I think that looks like a very romantic scene. Again, with this golden lit spider webs, few little insects and things flying around, the odd oxpecker lined on its back, and backlit. so amazing. But now you can see all those pesky insects that are flying around that buffalo, and I think that was kind of the cloud of insects that Craig and I drove through, which made me have to break a guarri tree and steal one of its branches to swat the flies. This is gorgeous. This is very pretty, in fact. Be nice if there was an entire breeding herd there, because I think we get a bit more dust being kicked up. That always enhances the picture, no? Doesn't it? There we go. Very nice. Yeah, I don't want to drive past that buffalo because I'm not getting covered in flies. It's also in the thicket, as you can see. So I don't think we're going to get a beautiful view of it. Right, this is where Hukamori queues and walks in from the western corner and down onto a road we're about to drive. It's happened to me before. Maybe it will happen again. We're hoping. That's the scene I've set up this afternoon. Let's hope all is going to, well, play by the books. Let's see. Okay, we're going to go to the west now. We're going to trade places while we head down to the west and hope to find some sorts of leopard. We're going to send you to Ralph, who's still at Chitwa.
So everyone, we actually just doing something very exciting here at Chitwa. Seb is busy mapping the area around the dam. So what that means is that on the little screen here, so that drone is now flying around all on its own, and it's been mapped here by Seb. So it's going to be doing a very much like a search pattern zigzag type route, and then all those little dots behind the arrow is where it's taking photos. So it's going to map the entire area, and you could obviously stitch them all together with Photoshop or whatever you like, and then we get a real picture of the area at this time of year. And if we had to do it month by month or every bi-monthly or 3 months or 6 months or whatever you like, and then we can do a very long-term kind of time lapse, and we can see now from autumn into winter, going into spring and then into summer, exactly how this area looks and how it changes over the change of seasons and rainy seasons, etc. So very interesting. Right, and the drone is also now just mixing it up. It's now directly above us, and off we go up there to get the view from that side. And now you're looking down directly over us, but this drone is working all on its own on that little flight pattern that Seb gave to it. So all he does is just need to make sure that it's following the pattern and not any kind of malfunction, and it just continues all along by itself. It's very interesting and very clever as well. So obviously there's also be able to see the rise and fall in water levels over the different times of year as well. But it's going to be interesting to see how the colors change, how the water levels rise or fall, the foliage of the leaves of the trees and the grass cover, etc. So it's going to be nice to see over the next few months how things change. And I'm sure that we're going to see, as we go into winter, you can already see the yellow coming onto the trees now. It is very cool. Thanks for everybody commenting that. And the greenery of the trees is now starting to turn into that autumn yellow and soon into brown, and then it's all going to start dropping off. Next to the lodge they might have a couple of sort of evergreen trees, maybe 1 or 2 exotics. I doubt whether they do have too many exotics, but there's someone swimming next to there's someone walking next to the pool. Looks like they're having their sundowners. That's very, very cool to see that, hey? And that's all being operated automatically by the GPS, Seb's telling me, and satellites. So there's so much happening all at once here, and it's very, very interesting. Okay, so let's just let it continue on its pattern, and we'll get the whole picture at the end of it, and then we'll be able to stitch it all together. But while we wait for it to complete the entire pattern, let's head you off to Tala, who I'm not quite sure where she is or what she's doing.
Yep, nothing. We're still slacking. We're just kicking up a lot of dust today, which is quite nice. I'm enjoying I think we're going to try and create a scene at some point. We're going to enhance the sunset first. I will rapidly drive across an area with maybe a sandy road, probably be a good idea to start. And then we will get behind the dust and then we'll watch the sunset. How does that sound? We'll do a bit of live trickery here. Never done it before, so we'll see if it works. And so we're also on a main road now. We are on Main. I don't know why I had to look up at the power lines like there was going to be a sign up there. So we just turned onto Gari Main now, which is one of the boundary roads that divides, well, this side is probably still Little Gari, somewhere around here. There's quite a few little properties. Then we get to Arathusa, then Simbambili will pop up. So we can't go this side. This is where we don't traverse. We can traverse off to the right. So I said to Craig, and I was umming and ahhing, and he was umming and ahhing as to where we should go and check. And I thought to myself, you know what, there's actually been quite a few times where I've actually found leopards at this time of the day, just as the sun is starting to set, that golden light. They're waking up from a snooze, from a slumber, and then off they've gone across the road and hoping to cross, well, we're hoping that they're going to cross into Djuma. Or maybe we unluckily missed them. And we've missed them the whole time and they've been on the property, but at least we can get a glimpse of a leopard. So we're going to give it a bash and see how it goes. And then if we don't get lucky here, we're probably going to turn in off Triple M, which is the more western boundary road, and then go towards Impala Plains. He's flying here. Helmet trikes. Oh, very bumpy. Let me go forward, Craig. They've just flown into this bush willow. Up to the top. The birds are not even on his platform, so I'm going over all the corrugations. It's not particularly nice, eh? Somewhere in there. I think, I don't know actually if they're still in there, Craig. They may have flown away. It's quite a dense tree, but it was the white-crested helmet trikes. I actually just heard one or two calling, but they've hopped onto another tree. Sorry, everybody, we've missed that. Anyways, I think I showed you about 37,000 white-crested helmet trikes before I went on leave. They were everywhere, catching big larvae and things like that. Ravinda, you've asked where Maurice is. On my shelf. Forgot he hasn't come out on a safari. He actually didn't even come on holiday with me. Did he? No, he didn't. He stayed here. I couldn't remember. I couldn't risk it. It was too dangerous. I was fearing for Maurice's life. He's not very good on rocks and things like that and jumping off of things. So, you know, saw he better stay at home rather where it's safe. He's too young. It's quite funny I say that he's too young. Do you know what my mother said to me while I was on holiday? This is a bit of random information. I like to do the adventurous things. I go hiking. I'm terrified of heights, but I will jump off of things if I'm brave. Sometimes if I'm brave enough, need a little bit of a push. And I skateboard and I'll go and play golf and I do all sorts of random things. And ice skating, and my mom told me I was too old for that. She said I can't do that anymore. Never. I'm going to be ice skating until I'm about 85. And then I'll probably think about not ice skating. Okay, please, animals, save us. Something. Pack of wild dogs. I'll kiss your feet if you can run out into the road in front of us. That would be just absolutely glorious. Craig, would you be happy with wild dogs? Yep, Slackman says he thinks so. So that's good. I think we need to really change my name strap, Kirsten. Can we just have Slacker McSlacky? And then I'll answer your question. Raina, as we bumble along, we might find some of the monogamous mammals. I know you asked for birds as well, but along this road, Craig and I remember last year at one point, and I think with Eggsy too, Zander, our editor, when he was helping us and filming and stuff like that, along the strip is a Steenbok, and it is so relaxed. I don't know if it's still here or if Shadow maybe took it a while ago. He's a leopard. Shadow is one of the leopards we haven't seen for a while. So we might see some of them here. Dacre too. Who else have we got that are monogamous? Lots of birds, the African hawk eagles, a lot of the vultures that we see, a pair of African fish eagles that we see down at Chitwa Dam. Those are just a couple of them, really. And then what else are we going to find along here? Well, I suppose the two most common mammals that are monogamous will be the really small antelopes, so the dacre are typically. Let's try and find one. We've just got to look carefully. In about I'm going to say about 6 weeks or so, we're not going to have any problem seeing duiker and steenbok. They're going to pop up everywhere. There'll be no grass, well, not much grass left for them to hide behind. All those leaves are starting to fall away. And what we will be playing in the next few days is a game which I'm going to call Spot the Tambueti Tree. So I hope you're ready for that. I'm not telling you how you're going to do all these things, but we're going to play that game at some point when we get to a fairly high point. Kirsten, what did you say? Sorry, I missed that. Pardon, Kirsten. Look at me, I've got manners. Oh, Kirsten says that game sounds thrilling. I bet you're all sitting at the edge of your chairs. Can't wait to, of course, to play that game. We'll have to try to play it tomorrow morning, I think. Will be the best bet, because the light is kind of casting on the trees now, which is going to make it difficult to play that game. We need the sun behind us. So, and the higher points are to the east of us, not to the west. It sort of dips down a little bit here. Okay. I'm still looking for a steenbok. See, look at this. This is what tricks you when you're on safari. Now I'm just driving along casually trying to spot things, anything. And then you see something like that, Craig. You see what's hanging from that marula tree. So you drive and you think, bottom left. There we go, that branch. And you think, oh, there's an impala draped over a branch. But it's not, just a piece of bark. And this happens all the time, especially when you're moving at speed and you can see that's a fair distance away from the road. It's not easy to spot. Sometimes you get lucky and it's a leopard. I'll never forget one morning. I'm just telling you random, so it's not Taylor story time. I think I'd only just started working in the Sabi Sand. I was driving down a main road called Lisbon Cutline, and I was glanced to the left, and the sun was just starting to rise in the east, and that's the west, obviously. And next one I just saw this most perfect silhouette of a leopard in a tree. It was really cool. And then she came down after about 10 minutes, and she came towards us. It was my favorite leopard, Lisbon, in fact, but she's no longer around. So that was quite cool. And it was one of my first sightings of her, in fact. But yeah. Craig, did you see any snakes while you were on holiday? Chatting. No. Huh? No snakes? Craig actually likes snakes a lot. You know, most of you know this. That's what I was asking. Seeing as though we saw a snake today, I thought maybe he went snake catching with some of his friends, but he didn't. Anyways, let's go to Ralph, who's had, I suppose, the closest animal to a snake today.
Well, everyone, sorry, we've just finished up with the drone, and the mapping has been completed, and we just saw a gymnogene fly behind us, and he went and landed in this dead tree here. I'm just going to see if he's still there. So that's the African Harrier Hawk. Don't know if he's still here. There was a little bit of time in between. But let's just have a look. Beautiful grey bird with very yellow around the eye. Nice long legs that bend the other way so that they can get their talons in down into birds' nests. I just want to get around this side a little bit. I don't know if he's still here. And if he's not, we'll just have a look at these little male impalas, these youngsters. They do fly off. Well, that's a shame, because he was really pretty. It would be nice to sit and watch him for a little while. But he's obviously got other business to attend to. Unless he went and landed in that one there, that... Is that a leadwood? You said he's landed in that one, eh, Seb?
Yeah, he was in this one and
He's moved off. Okay. Well, let's sit and watch these little youngsters just play fighting a little bit there, pretending like they know what a fight is all about. It's still very peaceful down here by Chitwa. It's been a wonderful afternoon. Just in the area, there was fish eagles calling a minute ago as well. See these youngsters, they're like teenagers, getting their horns. These ones are all of similar age. Oh, very exciting. It seems Dave has one of our beautiful leopards. Off to him.
I mean, I'm not sure I'm going back to Kenya anytime soon, because as I promised you early this morning, I'll be coming back to the same spot we had Tigana. There he is. I got a feeling he's coming to have had a drink somewhere. Look at how majestic that boy is. Surely, why should I go back to East Africa? This is not common. We rarely have sightings like this in Kenya. Look at the size of that boy. And he just rests there, and I think most likely he must have come from a drink. And what we'll do, we're going to reposition ourselves. But VM, can you just have a quick look on the kill up there and see? And if you remember what we saw early this morning, truly he has devoured more of the meat from this carcass, and I think what is left now could be about, I would say 30% is what's left now. Those two hind legs were hooked differently before, so most likely when we left and went back to the camp for breakfast, he must have gone up and eaten a few pounds of this ram impala. And you can see he must have started with the front legs, the internal organs. Now what's remaining now is what I would call the fillet steak. Very good job there, VM. Well done. And still see the head very well covered by those leaves just to keep it fresh. But chances are what would happen is, if that little connection of the front part of the body and the hind legs gets cut off, that piece may have to come down. I'm sure we saw how Tandy had lost one piece of her kill yesterday, and that chance and that one there might also do the same. I want to reposition a little bit forward and see if we may have a better view of this good-looking Tigana. So VM, which way do you want me to go? You may have to watch out that branch up there, VM. Sure. Yes, I hear you have been missing Tigana for quite some time, but now here he is. Good to go, VM? You're making my left? Right. We got VM here giving me directions so that he can give you the best views. I'm sure you've been missing him, and I'm not sure myself. I'll say I've been missing him. I'm just excited because I'm seeing him for the first time ever. Keep going, VM. A little bit more. Very good. All right. Now I think we have the best view ever. Well done. And look at that leopard there. Tigana himself. See the size of the dewlap. Exactly, Gasti. He's beautiful, good looking. And again, I'm not sure I'm saying the right thing, but being tempted maybe to move here now and get some of my remaining clothes in Kenya to be flown here, and I make a second home here. I'd be happy to be glued watching this boy here for the next hour or two. Arizona, you'd like to know if there are more leopards in Kenya than Sabi Sands. I do not know how to answer you that question, but I can tell you maybe there are more in Kenya than here, or there are more here than there. But from what I have gathered and found out, it's a lot easier to see leopards here than in Kenya. The tracking here makes the whole difference. And I cannot say that for a fact, where between the two places has more leopards than the other. But in Kenya, we don't track, we don't come out of the vehicles, so it makes it very difficult for us to spot leopards. And here also, the soil chemistry is different than what we have in Kenya. We have lots of sand here, which makes it very, very easy. Even if you're in a car, you can easily pick up a track. In Kenya, it's clay or black cotton soil, and unless you're very lucky, even if a cat steps on it, it will be very difficult to tell or to give you any clue that a cat could be around. Arizona, that helps to answer your question. Huge dewlap he got, and I think in general most males will have huge dewlaps, and this particular one to me, either because it's new to me, the dewlap is massive. You can see the panting there, very good. Here. And you notice the teeth are a bit yellowy or yellowish in color, and that's a sign of age. And I gathered from one viewer by the name of Puma that this leopard is 12 years old. That I didn't know, but the viewer gave me the age and said he's 12 years old. I would say for a 12-year-old leopard, he is looking pretty good. Gusty, yes, we did the Swahili word for leopard. Yes, no, I can't remember very well. Anytime I see leopards, I get excited and I cannot think straight. But either way, we'll do it again. The Swahili word for the leopard is chui, C-H-U-I. Chui is the whiskers there. I hope you got that, Gusty. And I've been told you count those spots. So how many spots does this one have? Excellent. VM, we count the top ones. So this is what? What's that?
Top whisker line.
So are we talking about what? 3 here or 4? 4. Very good. I have
Other side as well.
4.
I don't know the other side.
Ah, okay. I'm just getting clues and some lessons here of my friend VM on how to tell the spots. And that way, they'll always tell which leopard from which one by counting those spots there right above the whiskers on the top spots there. So you said what you can see now is 4, and maybe the other side is 4, I'm not very sure. But I know for a fact there's a viewer who told me Tlalamba is 5'5". That was very exciting. Look at the size, or look at the size of that small little cub there. For a 12-year-old leopard, as I was saying before, I think he looks very good. With a lifespan of about 14, max, sometimes 15 years. We'll see how many more years he has to go. But I think for 12-year-old, if that's the age, he is looking in good shape. And still at that age, to be able to bring down an impala is something very, very nice for him at that age. Leopards will also eat guinea fowls.
Sorry, I'm having a little chuckle now. So we have some guinea fowl. I'll show them to you in a minute, but I just want to show you where they were. And I'm so sad they got I don't know why they got such a fright. They were relaxed and then they just ran away. The guinea fowl were digging in these my mom calls them poo patches. How great of a word is that? I thought it was. I thought I'd bring it back to Safari Live. And that is, well, I suppose a pile of dung. And she was specifically talking about rhino middens again. That's a very old one that has not been used for a while. Craig, can you still see them? Wait, I'm just bending because they're in there somewhere. They're the guineas that were digging. Oh, they've now upset some crowned lapwings. Bet you can all hear that. Oh, guinea fowl fighting back. Good job. Actually, I didn't think it was going to go that way. I thought that the crowned lapwings were going to be the ones that did the chasing away. Perhaps they're going to fly back in and try and bop them on the head. I would like it if the guinea fowl swung back around and came in, dug in the sand, or maybe had a dust bath for us. I'm really excited to find an animal dust bathing, whether it's a zebra, a wildebeest, a guinea fowl, or a hornbill. I think that could be very nice because the light is beautiful this evening, and I think we are in store for a very nice sunset, which will probably be the highlight of my day. So watch that go down. Oh, see how they've got their heads all stuck up now? I think those crowned lapwings are probably coming back in. I wonder, Craig, if I move slightly, do you think we'll get all of them? We'll get the whole scene, because this tree is a bit rude being in the way. Okay, let me do that. Just go over here and we'll have another little look. I just want to see it. That could be quite cool, a bird fight. I mean, when last did any of you watch a bird fight? There we go. That's better. Very nice. Lynn, I love your comments about it's not a safari if you don't see dung or if a poo patch. I agree. You got to have it. I mean, I played with leopard feces this morning. That was great. But these guinea fowl are just moving through the grass at the moment. They're desperately feeding on the last of the grass seeds, and if there are any little butterflies or any grasshoppers and things, they'll snatch those up too. Come on. I'm waiting for them to put on a show, because guinea fowl tend to do that. The longer you watch them, the funnier they get. And someone will start chasing one another around, and then it really turns into a bit of a circus, which is hysterical. And like, as most of you know, I always try and find the funny side of nature. So sometimes you just got to be a bit patient. You don't even have to encourage it. It just happens. Here we go. You see that sheep mentality again? One runs and they all don't know why, but they're just going to keep up. Don't want to get left behind. Imagine if there was a leopard laying in the grass somewhere around there. It would spring up and very easily catch a guinea fowl that's off by itself, or potentially a target for an African hawk eagle, tawny eagle, anyone that likes to eat the feathered friends. They all seem quite settled though. Haven't seen any big raptors around, so I think that they should be safe this afternoon. Well, if they go into some of the thicker stuff, so will we. Well, we won't go in the thicker stuff, but we'll also just move on, is what I was really trying to say. There's some wildebeest just here, though. Let's have a look at them. Hello, wildebeest. They haven't moved far. When I arrived yesterday afternoon, the same herd of wildebeest, well, I'm almost certain it's the same herd of wildebeest, were just sitting a little bit closer to... No, they were in the same spot. Never mind. Oh, hang on, Craig. Should we try and make this look pretty? Oh, it's a bit tough, eh? Let me do a sneaky maneuver quickly. I hope it's going to work now. Oh, there's guinea fowl again. We'll have to watch them next, because they're in the road, so they might dust bath for us. Okay, are you ready? Just pulling off the road slightly, because that is nice. That's very, very cool. You won't even be able to see the Drakensberg Mountains in the distance, because there's quite a bit of haze around at the moment. Oh, that's lovely to see the wildebeest. And you can have a little listen. It's very, very quiet. Not much to be heard out here this afternoon. I think we just getting to the point, maybe in the next 10 minutes or so, where the birds will start singing beautifully. We'll try again. We'll try and get the chorus for this evening. Wildebeest are just happily grazing, swatting their tails. We've seen all the flies that are around. I bet the spiders are going to be happy tonight. I think there's going to be lots of little insects around, and it looks like, well, from all the webs you've seen, sort of dangling from tree to tree, I reckon they might capture a few. Oh, speaking of birds, there's another bird. Craig, 12 o'clock. There's a go-away bird sitting on a buffalo thorn, I think. It was up on that tree. Hello? Yeah. Here it is. Also preening itself, much like that yellow-billed hornbill a little bit earlier today during the school drive. It's amazing how they're able to sit in between the thorns like that. I mean, when the presenters just look too closely at a buffalo thorn, we get snagged. So the fact that they're able to move around, and it's a flimsy branch too. That's not a particularly strong branch. Look at the bend in that. It's like you've got a fishing rod and there's a big fish on the end of it. I'm pretty sure if it flies up, that branch is going to bounce out. Or bounce up. Actually, that happened to VM and I this morning. VM walked through and a knobthorn branch got stuck on him. And I don't know, I think in typical male fashion, instead of stopping and unhooking, he just sort of pushed through it. And it came sort of racing back at me at quite a speed, and it slapped me on the legs. Well, I then got stuck in the knobthorn, and the thorns were on my skin. It was quite wonderful. It was a nice welcome back, a high five from the bush. They give them to you every now and then. You sort of just take it with a pinch of salt. Craig, are those guinea fowl dust bathing? Nah, they're not. Okay, well, maybe we'll go around and see if we can't get those guinea fowl that dust bathing. They're still walking down the dusty road. Off you go back to Tigana, who's not having a dust bath.
Yeah, leopards will eat anything, will eat any type of protein, including the guinea hens. And you'd see how stealthy they are when they sneak very, very quietly on guinea hens and they just give them a small little slap or they just pounce on them. And when they don't get the big game like the impala we have on top of this tree, guinea hen is always a choice. They'll also even go to smaller little protein insect arthropods, for example, even beetles, you know. You'll see sometimes leopards scavenging or going through some elephant poo and they'll be looking for beetles to feed on. Any protein for leopard works well. Reptiles, skinks, lizards, it depends on the day, where they are, what they're looking for, how they're feeling. But every time I see the eyes of this leopard, I get excited. Minamu, how are you today? And you'd like to know what's the heaviest animal a leopard can take up a tree? Generally, leopards, especially a big male like this one here, Tigana, could be anything 60, 70 kilos. And that could be like what, about 150 pounds or so. They will seldom hunt for prey that is that size or, you know, or bigger than them. But the biggest or the largest prey I ever saw a leopard take or drag up a tree was an antelope called topi. T-O-P-I, topi, and a topi is almost double the weight of a leopard. You would imagine, I'm talking about 250 or so, almost, 280, almost 300 pounds. And it dragged it up a tree, and topis are very, very similar to the sesibes that we have here in South Africa. We don't have the topis here, but we have the topis in East Africa. And to me, that is one of the largest animal I saw, or antelope I saw, a leopard take up a tree. Tigana, what do you want to do now? Look at the size of that guy. I would say absolutely, I agree with you. They have even taken up, I agree with you, they are in casting final control. They have even taken up baby wildebeest up a tree, and not to mean achievement. And even baby buffaloes, I've seen them take a baby buffaloes up a tree. All right, Tigana, where are you going? Make sure you don't come close to David, please. Do whatever you want to do. Sorry about that, but you can see how close he is to the camera. Good job, VM. What do you think, VM? Do you think you're going to go up the tree? Let's find out. Oh, he'll go for a drink. He's not in the other direction now. Let's find out what he wants to do. Or he's just changing his bed to another spot. He's doing a bit of urine marking there as usual. I don't know if they can hear the scratch with the clothes there on the ground. There's a definite urine marking, very typical of leopards. Look at the rosettes on that beautiful boy there. Good job. Do you want urine mark again? Where are you off to, Tigana? Remember, your food is right here. You don't need to go very far. Just changing position. He is composed, and knowing the kill is up on the tree there, he is not worried a minute. VM, do you want us to reposition? And yeah, excuse me, Fox will try and reposition and find out if we can get a better view. This is exciting, VM. What do you think? Magic for me seeing leopards this close comparing to how we see them in Kenya. In Kenya, sometimes you need to get the binoculars to spot them, and sometimes you just see spots. Let's find out. Where are you going, Tigana, now? Okay, still have to get a little closer and find out. I don't see any water body or place. Maybe he'll be going for a drink, but again, sorry, you never know what he's thinking. I'll toss him into branches, know how that goes. Keep going. Okay. Keep coming. Very good. You just changed location. I'll go look. Very good.
Well, everyone, we have come now on the road a little bit towards Treehouse Dam. We're going to see if we can spot anything unusual around here. That sun, I'm sure you would have seen, there was a beautiful sunset, but it's now dipped just below the horizon. So we're heading into the darkness hours, and those nocturnal animals going to be waking up. And it's that change of guard, daytime animals into the night. So this is one of the best times of the day for me, for many different reasons, because I often find the most exciting things around about this time. It's normally excellent to surf, it's normally excellent to fish, the wind normally drops. It's just, for me, sunrise and sunset. A couple of hours before and after both of those events, it's awesome. Now, we're just going to keep on looking for anything we can find, but Tala has one of our feathered friends.
Wait. Everyone keeps saying they can see an owl. Craig says he can see an owl. And apparently, Kirsten, can you see an owl too? There was no game. I've just found fresh male leopard tracks. And then Craig said, oh, and there's an owl. And I went, okay, cool. And I was like looking, and he said, no, there's an owl there. So as Craig is zooming in, Kirsten obviously sees exactly what Craig is seeing. I'm now rolling back and goes, right, I'm asking for a link. And then the link was, obviously, we're coming to, or something feathered friend. And, well, there wasn't. There was no trick, but I'm glad you all got fooled. Let me show you the leopard tracks. Leopard tracks. Who's this? Ah, so funny. I'm going to quickly jump out. Okay, look at this. This is very cool. This was not here this morning. This actually looks like now, and now I'm worried. I want to know who it is and where they've gone. So these leopard tracks are going down that way. They're big male tracks. I mean, you saw how massive they were. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to try and follow them. I can't recall seeing them where we were with the wildebeest. So I don't know if they went there. Maybe they carried on going down via Tala access. Let's see. So let's quickly turn. Oh no, they're driving over my leopard tracks. Oh my goodness, okay, I'm going to go try salvage these tracks, but off you go to David, who, well, has a big male leopard.
Well, I'm sure Tala is very jealous of me when she's doing tracks and I have the actual predator with me right here and giving us the best view ever I would want for myself to see over leopard. Having eaten, I think, 2 portions, and as I said earlier, chances are this remaining part of the kill might take him up to tomorrow, and he could still be here tomorrow morning. Who knows? And maybe at night when everybody has gone to bed is when he'll go back to the tree and start feeding. Look at those eyes. Minamu, you'd like to know, do leopards or other animals lose their teeth when they get old? I would say yes, just like human beings, but for animals it's a bit rare because what they eat, unlike us, they do not get as much sugar like human beings. And I don't remember any one animal I saw missing teeth. One or two could be missing, and Minamu, if they're predators, maybe from a fight in general. What I've noticed more is the teeth changing color and becoming yellowish as they age. Many times when you've seen carcasses or dead lions or dead leopards out in the bush and we open their mouth, the teeth are always intact and complete. He's out for a walk again, either maybe to urine mark, go for a drink. Very majestic. There he walks, right in front of us. I'm not sure where he's up to. And Tigana, you can rest assured, I'll be following you slowly, but surely and quietly. I want to know where you're going and I want to know what you're doing. So I don't want to lose your sight. So let me just sneak on him very slowly and very quietly, because we're getting excited together by this. Okay, a bit of rocks here. All right, we've done that. And I don't know where he is really going, because unless he's going for a drink, he's right ahead of us there. And we need to get a very special place to get this thicket here. Let's see if we can cross somewhere through here. Sorry, there'll be a bit of branches here, and are you good there, Viam? All right. Sorry, folks, we do the best we can not to damage the trees. And either he wants to get to the road and give us a little walk. Can you see it, Viam? And which will be very, very good news for us. We'll not need to struggle and fight with these bushes here. And leopards have been known to follow the roads and just walk along the roads. It's clear they can see themselves, they can see where they're going, and that is exactly what has happened. And those are the best news I have for you. He has decided to make my life easier. Come to the highway, come to M25 in Bush Standard, and just walk ahead of us. You're going to fly slowly, very quietly. Let me go back to low ratio. I was on too high. There was no ratio getting the bush there because of the holes and the trunks that have fallen in there. And if you look carefully, he's just ahead of us. We'll follow him slowly, give him his space, stop, and see what happens. That's what I would say. Hoo la la. And this could also help me in learning the tracks of leopards. I agree with all of you that yes, this guy is magic, and how exciting is this, especially for a person who is coming from East Africa. David coming all the way from Kenya. I'm following him and I'm following him until he'll give us a final goodbye. We still have good light, and when things will get a bit darker, I'm sure we might go to infrared much later, but not for now. We still got good light for him. Remember to keep us engaged with your questions on Twitter on #SafariLive. And to see him again, sorry, my apologies, VM there. As usual, marking territory, urine marking. It's very typical of leopards. This could be a bigger marking of territory than what I thought before. Maybe not urine, maybe a poop, which should also amount to the same. And most of these predators will do this to avoid conflict with other males. Hosanna is another chief around this area. Okay, let's get closer to him again. We don't want to lose his sight. Liam, do you think he might have just urine marked there, or he did a poop there? Can you see anything? Okay, let's see. He's to the right there now. and see if we can get any small opening for us to go through the thickets. See him there, VM? Alright, we're going to make our way and follow him there. And Ralph is on the road also trying to look for good news for all of us.
Okay, everybody, very exciting. I just picked up some fresh leopard tracks, and now we can hear it's either Nyala or Kudu barking just ahead of us here. So we're just behind. Listen, let's just stop. Listen, everybody. There's a leopard just in front of us. That was a kudu, the previous one was an Nyala. Okay, very excited. Let's go. I can't race because I've got the drone in the back, but this leopard is just in front of us here. If the car will let me go. This is very exciting. We're just behind this leopard. And remember what I said, Nyala, kudu, if they bark, you can guarantee that there is a leopard or a lion. And with us seeing, I said to Seb, these tracks are now. We're right behind this animal, and then bang, there's the alarm calls. So let's hope we can catch up. And here's the kudu, and it looks like it's looking at the animal. Where is it? Where is it, guys? Where is it? They're all bunched up here together. Where they're looking that way, a little bit further ahead. They're looking off to the repeater. Thanks, kudus. Thank you very much. You see, they weren't even too worried about us. The one running in the same direction of where it was actually worried. More on the left here. Okay, where's this leopard? It's around here somewhere. Where are you looking, guys? Where are you looking? Come, guys, tell me. Where is this leopard? See now the impala all calling? This leopard's here somewhere, close. Come, guys, where is it? Tell me, Jane, I think it's Shadulu. We're by the tracks. I think it's Shadulu, but it would be nice if it's Hosanna. Guys, come on. We're driving right past this leopard. See how close. Oh, watch out. This branch in front is going to flick. Let's just get around it. Alright, man. Yeah, sorry, Seb. Okay. Where is this leopard? It's just giving us a slip here, but they're still calling at it. Yeah. It's right here. They're still calling. We're right on top of this leopard, but we've got to get closer in. Where are you? This is when it can get a little bit frustrating because you know that this cat's, it's just like this morning where we knew that those hyenas were there, but we couldn't see them. Where is she? Impala's still calling. Let's go back a bit and just go see where those impala are looking. Get the torch out as well. Maybe might help with the eyes. I'm also very excited, everybody. There's a leopard right here. I just hope we're not going to have an anticlimax and not find it, which can quite easily happen if she's gone into the block. But these impala are still shouting. So she's here somewhere. She's here close by. Where are you looking, impala? Okay, definitely this way. Definitely this way. They're looking straight where we've just come from. Where are you? Seemed like it had headed off that way. I wonder if we must just go up the road a little bit. Okay, everyone. We might as well go back to Dave with a leopard that we do have sight on while I try and find this kitty cat for us. Okay.
Right, we have followed Tigana very quietly, and I'm not sure he is showing signs of looking for food, because he has been looking in that direction for about 4 minutes now, and we can't tell what he's seeing. Sometimes these cats will see things that, we human beings will take a long time to locate, and we just see what they're looking at once there's a movement, or if he is thinking of going to bring someone else down for dinner or for breakfast for tomorrow morning. That's the only time we are able to tell what he's looking at. But he has concentrated in that particular angle and direction for quite some time now. As you can see, his saliva coming out of his mouth. They are all from the meals he has been having, and still doing a lot of scent marking. Him digging the ground there. And try to imagine, who would ever see or know there's a leopard there if you had not had it before, eh? Good boy, you want to go up that tumbling mound? Occasionally they have used tumbling mounds like that either as vantage points to see who they might want to hunt, or sometimes if they are small little animals there, like the piggies, the watchhogs, they might poke them out, or when they're coming out, they'll bring them down and eat them and, just hunt them. Glenn, you think he can smell the scent of another male leopard there? That could be a concern that he has. Because what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing any stalking mode in him, but he's looking, smelling, and looking around. I think you're right. He could be smelling maybe Hosanna. But I think he's much more senior than Hosanna. Tigana, you need to tell us exactly what you're doing and what you want to do, or what you're thinking. What a view there, eh? Maybe he's just thinking about his kill and nobody goes there. Leopards have been known sometimes to steal from each other, eh? More males stealing from females than vice versa. How beautiful seeing it through the yellow grass there. And he blends in also very, very well. Paula, you're asking how far can leopards smell? And Paula, I'm not sure I would give you a very good answer or clear answer for that. Not for a fact, but I would guess anything 100, 200 meters, but that's sheer guess from what I think of my life in the bush. But I do not know for a fact, but I'll be able to also find out from my colleagues and maybe give you a more accurate answer of how far, Paula, leopards can smell. You'll forgive me for that, excuse me. Yeah, he continues to urine mark there and then goes down. And I think now he's feeling much comfortable. If he was picking any smell or scent of another male around, I think his only competitor could be Hosanna. I don't know which other male VM could be. There's another one called Quarantine, I just gathered. There's another male called Quarantine, so maybe VM tells me Quarantine could be more of a concern to him than Hosanna. But to me, I think this guy is quite robust, and he would deal with any other male. What about Hukumuri? Yeah?
To the other side.
Yeah, well, Hukumuri is on the other side, so that works well for him. So the direction he is looking at is where the kill is, or where the tree, the marula tree that has the impala on. But he still looks at something. I cannot know what he's looking at, and quite a distance. I can't see anything myself. It's getting a bit dark here. Are you on IR yet? Yeah. So it's a bit dark for me to see, but what you can tell there, he is definitely focused on something. And yeah, well done, VM, very good. Thank you, Casti. And look at the same cat now. Very good on IR. Look at him as he looks in his territory and in this area where he thinks he is the king and not worried of any other predator that would match him up. And I was saying in the morning, leopards are quite bold and very versatile. For cats of his size and low or below him, for example, cheetahs, they tend to do better than all those other cats. They survive better. They thrive well. They get better food on their own than all the other cats of the size of leopards and below. And they're very stealthy when they go looking for food. I was talking earlier this morning how the village they come from, they would come at night and just sneak through the hedge or the fences would make using branches, using some thorn trees. And in one night, they would comfortably kill about 100 goats and sheep in one night. Just eat one and just strangle one after the other, and then the following morning they leave. And like, yes, I was around, we'll see you again. And the whole village, would go in sadness because we didn't know what we could do with about 100 goats overnight. I mean, in one day. And that normally would happen in areas where the prey or the natural prey of leopards have been, wiped out, and again pointing fingers to man. Some areas in the world, like in the Southeast Asia, they have been known to go for man for survival, and they've turned out to be, man-eaters. In the country I come from, called Kenya, way back when they were building, some Europeans were building a railroad from the east of the country to the west of the country towards a country called Uganda, they ended up with having lions that were eating the constructors or the builders of the railroad, and were called the man-eaters lions. So this, I would think, leopards in Southeast Asia could be called the man-eaters leopards. No one case of that has been documented in Africa yet. Kruger, you'd like to know if leopards will salivate and drool if they smell lion. I would say yes. I mean, they are competitors by any standard when you think of it, and nobody likes the other. And they have gone for each other once in a while. Yes, that would happen. And the reason is, like, either of the cat or either the predator wanting to keep that territory and not the other. Look at those eyes. I really don't know what he is looking at. And every time I turn and look at the same direction he's looking at, because now he's almost, I would say, a little bit above us by what, 4 inches, 6 inches from my eye level? But there's certainly something he can see that I cannot see. Neither VM can see it. We can hear all the francolins in the background, and it's time for them to go to bed and maybe leave this king here doing what he knows better at night. Taylor got some update for us.
I wish I had something for you. I've got my infrared light on, all for you. How nice is that? Now, ooh, hello, that was a big bump. I bumped into Ralph, and he said he had female leopard tracks, which was pretty cool. So Definitely not the leopard we're looking for. So what we're doing now is we're on Triple M, which is one of the boundary roads that we were talking about earlier, that runs sort of far west. We're going to head towards Gowrie Gate, the most northern entrance of the Sabi Sand. Oh, I got excited. I really thought there was a leopard. Oh, it's not. It's a Logosaurus. Pesky Logosaurus. It was just dark, 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 and then all of a sudden a change in color. I was like, woo! Woo for nothing. And so yeah, so we're going to do that. Then we're going to go up Tala access, I think. Just have a little look around there. We'll maybe stop and have a listen to see if we can hear anything. I don't know if tonight's my night for animals, so I think I was bound to have a quiet day. I was too spoiled yesterday afternoon with Tundi and Kalamba. Okay. What are we going to see? Ooh, found a car in the distance. That's nice. That one I couldn't miss. Right, now I know Ralph was feeling a little bit frustrated. As he said, he was right next to that leopard. He thinks was just hiding away from him in the grass. Let's go and see if he's edged any closer to it.
Not yet, everybody. Really frustrated. You see how long this grass is? That leopard, which I'm sure was Shudulu, she disappeared into the grass, and that's it. So we're just going to loop around again, see if she pops out somewhere, but we're going to loop around again and do it again, and just keep hoping that she pops out on the road, because if she doesn't, she really needs to be literally like just here next to the road for us to see her, or we'll spot her eyes. So that is one bonus now that it's got a bit darker, is that we do see the reflection in the eyes, and it does make it a little bit easier. So, but we were within 20 meters of that leopard, and she gave us the slip. The kudu were letting us know, the impala were, and it was really, and it was great, because as soon as I said to Seb, look here, fresh tracks, now, we heard the kudu bark, and then all clumped together, and then, but she's given us the slip. But that's why we love looking for them, hey, because it's a real challenge. And so if it was easy, well, everyone would be able to find leopard. But there's a little bit of good luck involved as well. And while we keep looking for this elusive female, I'm hoping it's Shudulu. Let's head you back to David with Tigana.
Well, hopefully Shidulu will show up, and then we can say or celebrate and say we had a male leopard and a female leopard today. And Tigana is making a move. I do not know where he wants to go. He looks still very full, but again, even when they are full like this, they've been known to go for hard. It's the best. They're feeling strong and energetic, and they might want, when I'm still feeling good shape, why don't I, sorry about that, Paul, there, why don't I go for something else? He goes quietly in the bush. I think we'll try to follow him. Sorry about the area there on your way. And find out what he wants to do. So let me reposition slowly and surely and see where he might lead us into. Do you want me back up? Yeah. Did he go this way? Sorry, Kirsty, what is the name of the question, and what's the question, sorry? Christian, if I got your name right, you're asking if I have experienced the popcorn smell. That is something I've been hearing James Henry talking about. And it's after I have seen all the leopards here, I'll be wanting to get the popcorn smell as you try to trace him right down there. And I'll be more than happy to know exactly what popcorn smell is. There he is, and I do not know exactly what he is doing. And maybe, Tigana, I might start experiencing the popcorn smell with you. Do you back up a little bit? Let's see whether he is. He might have just got something. Sorry about that. Keep coming. Let's see whether you can see whether he's eating something, Tigana, there. We can't see exactly what he's doing, but I think he's feeding on something, eh? What it is, when he caught it, we have no idea. He's definitely eating something, eh? Oh yeah, he's eating something here. Do you change his position? Do you back up and go that direction? Yeah, he's either killing it, but he's definitely eating something, eh? Tigana, you're going to surprise me if you had a whole huge male impala with yourself, and now what are you up to? What did you just catch there? We need to know for a fact what he's eating, but he's definitely eating and devouring something. VM, do you want to change the position? What's that?
I don't think it's a better position.
Is this the best you got?
Get behind us.
What about you go forward and go round that bush?
You can try the best.
Let's see if... Oh, go head first where you can see better. Hang on, folks, and see whether you can get a different position. That's tough. 1 minute. And he's definitely feeding on something. We really want to find out what he's feeding on here. He stops there, looks, listen to all the birds chirping and making noise, the birds that can see him. We're making a big loop. He's definitely tearing something apart there. Hopefully going to lift part of it up for us to see, eh? It must be huge, and we didn't see him latch on anything or run. He was just walking. Either he caught something that he didn't expect it, and you know how stiff leopards are, eh? You can hear it crushing it. Don't you think if we make a round like that might help a little bit? A loop. Yeah, we got surrounded by lots of stumps here and big holes. And let's hear what update Tala has.
Not anything as exciting as you do, David. Sorry, I thought I'd seen something in the tree, just glancing. One last glance over. Now, I've done this before. Hang on, the radio's beeping. Why is the radio beeping? What are people saying? Not anything that we can see. I don't know what it is, unfortunately. It's something on Torchwood. And basically what I was going to tell you is the last time I did this, was driving on this road and was speaking utter nonsense to all of you. A lion popped out next to me. Craig, you may have been on camera that day. Do you remember that? Yeah, Craig actually pointed the lion out to me. I got a fright. So maybe that's going to happen tonight. That could be a nice little treat, don't you think? Just turn that all the way off. I don't know if it's the Torchwood pride that's possibly on Torchwood that they were talking about. Otherwise, it's very quiet. There was some whisperings of cheetah as well, I think, on Buffelshoek Torchwood side too. It's quite nice. That's not a snake. I was getting excited, hopefully going to get a little snake. So we're still looking for actual owls this evening. pearl spotted, or perhaps a barred owlet, maybe a scops owl, the one that could have, we could have fooled you with and pretended it was actually sitting in the tree. Bye, scrub hairs. Bye, guys. We're going to carry on because I've got a good feeling. And then we're still looking for that leopard, but I just don't know where that leopard has actually disappeared to. So we're just driving roads and hope that we're going to come across something. And if there was a leopard that passed through this area, we would hear the wildebeest alarming, we would hear the impala alarming. We know that there's been a couple of flocks of guinea fowl moving through too. So, Sammy Jane, you've recalled that lion moment that I had where one of the big Birminghams just stood out in the road next to me. It's quite cool when things like that happen. I think we were having a really quiet drive too, so I definitely enjoyed it. Okay, these are all impala, not impala. I wonder what that, what is it called, Kirsten? The bot that does the subtitles? No, Kirsten didn't hear me. The CC, that's what it's called. I don't know these things. It's always, I've been enjoying reading what the CC bot thing thinks we're saying. It's been very entertaining. Those of you that haven't tried it, you should try it. Share your best ones. Hashtag Safari Live. Now, Kirsten has told me to stop talking nonsense and to send you off to somebody else. I don't know who that is, though.
Well, Tigana has shocked me by his prowess of killing and hunting something. We are yet to identify what he's munching. We can only hear him. Let's see whether we can hear him. Can I hear that? You see him there? And we are yet to identify what the prey is. How he got it, it was unbelievable. He was just on the Taman Mound and he just walked away from us 10 meters and pop, there he was. We just saw him shearing and pulling something apart. We are yet to identify what this is. This is so epic. We're guessing, but it didn't run. There was no chase. And very funny, he must have got it when it would not, at least expected to be gotten by a predator. A warthog could be a good guess. I agree with you, Casti. It could be a warthog, maybe. We can just now hear him, breaking the bones. Sorry, there's a bit of noise from another car. Yeah. This is insane, eh? We saw a kill there earlier, but now just seeing Tigana just bring down someone out of the blues is something I least expected, rather. You can see all the red there, as much as infrared. So we've got some cars, friends of ours, not very far from Tigana there. This is insane, eh? Unbelievable. He did not show any sign, and exactly what I was saying before, sometimes leopards will see things, or these predators will see things a human eye will not easily pick. We kept looking at VM. The leopard got two eyes, mine, which I think are very good, VM's, which I think are better than mine, but we couldn't see anything, but you could tell he was looking at something, and most likely that's the something he was looking at. See the whiskers there as they keep moving in, up and down. Sorry, I lost you there. Yes, so if you can see some horns there, then this could be another impala then. VM, do you think so? Then this could be another impala. But surely from where? All right, we got a feathered friend with Tala now. And I think it's an impala. How he got this impala, I do not know, for heaven's sake. Tigana, you're trying to show me how great you are in getting your prey and getting your food, eh? You just had the impala on the other marura tree there, and now you have the impala and the impala here on the floor. Look at him tearing it apart, eh? He's a hungry boy, and from what he had eaten before, he can't stop eating. Isn't this epic? I mean, this is insane for me, eh? Unbelievable. Debbie, you're thinking he might have stolen the kill from someone else, and maybe that I would say 150% comment. I would want to agree with you, Debbie, because from where we were, we never saw any chase. He did not stalk. The only thing we saw is him having food on the table, and he started eating, and there was no chase. An impala, and especially a male, is a pretty big antelope, which you could easily spot from where we were, and not me, not VM, saw any sign of a living animal from where we were. And I think most likely what Tigana has done here could have stolen this kill from another leopard. And you remember earlier I was talking about the leopards will always do that, and yes, all the viewers, I agree with you, that's chances what he has done, and there could be a female leopard around here which might have, killed this impala, and he is just taking advantage of that. You remember earlier I was talking about how leopards steal other, leopards kill. It's more males that do that than the females. And Tigana, being as big as he is and as bold, I would think he is from what I've seen the last 2 days, he is capable of doing that. And this surely was not his kill. I mean, this is epic for me to have seen what Tigana might have brought down for himself, and again now to see him eating someone else's kill. And what a day, honestly, leopard having a kill on top of a tree. And maybe for now I'll tell Tigana bon appetit, and we want to thank you, everyone, all the viewers, for having joined us. And remember, tomorrow morning, 6:30 Central African Time, will be out here. And from all of us, thank you again, and goodbye, and have a great one.